You don't belong here, boy. Find the bus station where people like you catch rides. The words slice through the polished marble lobby of Westchester Executive Terminal like a blade. They come from Bradley Thornton, 52 years old terminal manager, standing with his chest puffed out and his chin raised high. His voice carries across the room, deliberately loudly meant for everyone to hear. He looks down at the man sitting in the corner leather chair. Faded gray hoodie, worn jeans, muddy running shoes. The man doesn't look up from his phone, doesn't flinch, doesn't move. This is Marcus Rivera, 38 years old. He looks exhausted. 3 days of merger negotiations in a Newark warehouse have drained every ounce of energy from his body. His hoodie has coffee stains on the sleeves. His jeans are wrinkled from sleeping in conference rooms. His shoes are dirty from walking through construction sites inspecting the logistics facilities he just bought for $12 billion. But Bradley doesn't know any of this. All Bradley sees is someone who doesn't fit his idea of what belongs in his terminal. Marcus lifts his eyes slowly. His voice is calm, steady. "I'm waiting for my flight." Bradley steps closer. His Italian leather shoes click against the marble floor. "This is a private terminal, first-class passengers only. You need to show me your credentials or leave immediately." Around the lobby, heads turn. A banker in a three-piece suit looks up from his Wall Street Journal. A woman with designer luggage pauses her phone call. 2 pilots walking past slow their steps. Near the coffee bar, Sofia Martinez freezes. 26 years old, she's been working here for 8 months saving money for nursing school. She wears the standard black uniform, her name tag slightly crooked. She watches Bradley approach Marcus with growing discomfort. By the window, Emma Rodriguez already has her phone out. 28 years old, travel blogger always looking for content. But this feels different. This feels wrong. Her finger hovers over the record button. Marcus reaches into his jacket pocket. He pulls out a black credit card and a boarding pass. He slides them across the small table beside his chair. Delta Private Terminal, Flight DL947, first class to Los Angeles. Bradley picks up the documents with 2 fingers like they might contaminate him. He squints at the boarding pass, then at the credit card. His lips curl into a smirk. "This doesn't look right," Bradley announces to the room. "These documents appear suspicious." Marcus's voice doesn't change. They're legitimate. Bradley holds up the black card, turning it so the light catches it. "Anyone can buy fake cards online these days." He looks around the lobby, performing for his audience. We see this all the time. People trying to access premium services they can't afford. Emma presses record. Her phone captures Bradley waving Marcus's card in the air like evidence of a crime. Sophia takes a step forward from behind the coffee bar. "Excuse me, Mr. Thornton. Maybe we should verify the documents before making assumptions." Bradley's head snaps toward her. His eyes flash with anger. "Sophia, return to your station. This doesn't concern you, but it does concern her." Sophia has watched Bradley humiliate customers before. She's seen him judge people by their clothes, their accents, their skin color. She's stayed quiet too many times. Mr. Rivera has been nothing but polite. Sophia says, her voice slightly shaking, but determined. Marcus looks at her. Something passes between them. Recognition, gratitude, respect. Bradley's face reddens. "How do you know his name?" She gestures toward the boarding pass in his hand. "It's printed right there." Bradley glances down. The name Marcus Rivera is clearly visible. But he's too committed to his performance to back down now. "Names can be faked too," Bradley says. He walks behind the reception desk and opens a small safe. He drops Marcus's credit card inside and slams it shut. This card is now secured pending verification. The lobby goes silent. Even the background music seems to quiet. Marcus stands slowly. He's tall, 6'2", broader than he appeared sitting down. His presence fills the space differently now. Not threatening, but substantial. "You just made a mistake," Marcus says quietly. Bradley laughs. "The only mistake would be letting you stay here another minute." Marcus pulls out his phone. He dials a number. His voice is low, but clear enough for nearby people to hear. Isabella Marcus says into the phone, "It's happening. Execute Protocol 7. On the other end, Isabella Guerrero, his executive assistant, doesn't hesitate. "Confirmed. Initiating response now." Bradley frowns. He doesn't like the sound of that phone call, but he's too arrogant to be concerned. James Patterson, the banker with the Wall Street Journal, leans toward his companion. Protocol 7. Sounds like some corporate nonsense. Emma's livestream counter shows 50 viewers, then 100, then 500. Comments start flooding in. Who is this guy? Why are they treating him like this? This is discrimination. Marcus puts his phone away. He looks at Bradley with calm, steady eyes. "You have exactly 10 minutes before your world changes forever." Bradley scoffs. "Is that supposed to scare me?" Marcus doesn't answer. He walks toward the glass doors leading outside. The automatic sensors slide them open and the sound of rain fills the lobby. "Wait!" Sophia calls out. She hurries around the coffee bar, pulling off her apron. "If you're throwing him out for no reason, then you can throw me out too." Bradley's mouth drops open. "Sophia, you're fired. Effective immediately." "Good," Sophia replies. She follows Marcus toward the door. Bradley turns to the remaining staff and passengers. He spreads his arms wide like a conductor finishing a symphony. "That's how we maintain standards here. We don't tolerate people trying to cheat the system." Some passengers nod approvingly. Others look uncomfortable. Emma keeps recording her viewer count climbing past 1,000. Outside, the rain soaks through Marcus's hoodie immediately. He stands under a small overhang, but the wind whips the water sideways. Sophia stands beside him, both of them getting drenched. "I'm sorry," Sophia says. "You shouldn't have to deal with that." Marcus looks at her. "Don't apologize. You showed character in there. That matters more than most people realize." Inside the terminal, Bradley pours himself a glass of champagne from the complimentary bar. He raises it toward the window, toasting his victory over the vagrant who tried to infiltrate his sacred space. He has no idea that the soaked man standing in the rain outside owns a $12 billion company. He has no idea that Marcus Rivera's phone call just set in motion events that will destroy Bradley's career in the next 8 minutes. He has no idea that the roar building in the distance isn't thunder. It's a Gulfstream G800 coming to pick up its owner. The rain pounds harder now, turning the tarmac into a sheet of silver. Marcus stands perfectly still under the overhang water dripping from his hood. He doesn't shiver. Marcus pulls out his phone again. Marcus pulls out his phone again. The screen lights up despite the moisture. He dials another number. "Captain Rodriguez," Marcus says when the call connects. "Status report." The voice on the other end is crisp, professional. "Kingfisher 1 is 8 minutes out, sir. Weather is rough, but we're cleared for priority landing. Should I request the standard gate?" "Negative," Marcus replies, watching Bradley through the glass windows. "Bring her straight to the main terminal windows. Park nose to glass. Full floodlights. Sir, that violates several safety protocols. I'll handle the fines. Make an entrance, Captain. Understood. Kingfisher 1 inbound." Inside the terminal, Bradley has attracted a small crowd around the reception desk. He's retelling the story of his heroic ejection of the vagrant, embellishing details with each repetition. "The man was clearly unstable," Bradley says, gesturing dramatically. "Probably on drugs. He kept claiming he belonged in first class. Can you imagine James Patterson raises his champagne glass? Good for you, Thornton. These people think they can just walk into any establishment and demand service. Emma's live stream now has 3,000 viewers. The comments are split between outrage and support, but the hashtag terminal discrimination is starting to trend on social media platforms. David Park sits quietly in a corner chair scrolling through his phone. He's a tech entrepreneur, 34 years old, and something about the name Marcus Rivera sounds familiar. He opens a search engine, types the name, and freezes. The first result shows a Forbes magazine cover from 6 months ago. Marcus Rivera, CEO of Rivera Technologies, net worth $12 billion. The photo shows Marcus in an expensive suit, but the face is unmistakable. David's hands shake as he realizes what he just witnessed. He looks toward the window where Marcus still stands in the rain, then back at Bradley's celebration. Ashley Thompson, a lifestyle influencer with 2 million followers, notices David's expression. "What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." David shows her his phone screen. "That's him. That's the guy they just threw out." Ashley's eyes widen. She immediately starts her own live stream. Her followers know her for fashion content, but this is bigger than clothes. "Holy crap, guys," Ashley whispers into her phone. "We just witnessed something massive. The richest tech guy in America just got racially profiled at a private terminal." Her viewer count explodes. Within minutes, the story spreads across multiple platforms. Justice. For Rivera begins trending alongside terminal discrimination. Bradley remains oblivious. He's moved behind the bar now, playing bartender for his new admirers. He pours champagne and accepts compliments on his firm leadership. "You should run for political office," suggests a woman with pearl earrings. "We need more people willing to enforce standards." Bradley grins. "Maybe I will. This country needs leaders who aren't afraid to make tough decisions." Outside, the wind picks up. Marcus checks his watch. 3 minutes. Sophia looks at him curiously. "You seem awfully calm for someone who just got humiliated." Marcus almost smiles. Humiliation requires caring about someone's opinion. "I stopped caring about his opinion the moment he opened his mouth. But still, Sophia insists. What he did was wrong. Illegal, probably." Marcus nods. "It was. And there will be consequences." A low rumble reaches their ears. Not thunder. Something else. Something mechanical and powerful. Inside the terminal, Ashley's live stream has reached 50,000 viewers. Comments flood her screen faster than she can read them. People are sharing the story, tagging news outlets, demanding action. Emma coordinates with Ashley, cross-promoting their streams. Together, they've captured the entire incident from multiple angles. The footage is already being downloaded and reshared across dozens of platforms. Bradley finally notices the commotion around the 2 women with their phones. He approaches Ashley with his chest puffed out. "Excuse me, miss. This is a private terminal. Photography requires permission." Ashley keeps recording. "Is that the same rule you used when you stole that man's credit card?" Bradley's confidence flickers. "I didn't steal anything. I secured suspicious documents according to protocol." Emma joins the confrontation, her phone also pointed at Bradley. "What protocol allows you to racially profile customers?" The rumble outside grows louder. Several passengers move toward the windows, looking up at the sky. Bradley's face reddens. "You're both trespassing. Security." But his security call goes unanswered. His guards are busy dealing with a priority aircraft request that just came through the control tower. Something about a Kingfisher 1 demanding immediate taxi clearance to Gate 1. Gate 1 is reserved for heads of state. It's positioned directly in front of the main terminal windows, close enough to read license plates on cars. No private jet has ever used Gate 1. The rumble becomes a roar. Marcus looks at his watch again. "Right on time." Sophia follows his gaze upward. Through the rain, lights pierce the darkness. Bright, blinding landing lights approaching fast. Inside the terminal, conversations stop. Champagne glasses pause halfway to lips. Everyone turns toward the massive windows. The aircraft that emerges from the storm isn't just large, it's magnificent. A Gulfstream G-800, the apex of private aviation technology. $85 million of aerospace engineering wrapped in midnight blue paint. But it's not heading to the distant tarmac where private jets normally park. It's coming straight toward the terminal building. Several passengers step back from the windows. This isn't normal. This is dangerous. Bradley rushes to the windows, pressing his hands against the glass. That pilot is insane. He's going to crash into us. The Gulfstream's engines scream as it approaches. The pilot doesn't slow down until the very last second. Then, with surgical precision, the massive aircraft stops just feet from the terminal windows. The jet's floodlights activate, bathing the entire lobby in harsh white light. Every person inside is illuminated like actors on a stage. The engines idle, creating a constant rumble that shakes the champagne glasses on the tables. Bradley fumbles for his radio. Control tower. We have a rogue aircraft at Gate 1. Send security immediately, but the tower isn't responding to Bradley anymore. They're too busy processing the priority clearance codes that came with Kingfisher One's landing request. Outside, Marcus straightens his shoulders. He looks at Sophia one more time. "Stay here," he tells her. "Watch what happens next." He begins walking toward the aircraft. His steps are steady, confident. The rain doesn't seem to bother him anymore. Inside the terminal, every face is pressed against the windows. Phones record from every angle. The story is no longer contained to 2 live streams. It's everywhere. Bradley watches Marcus approach the jet, and for the first time since this encounter began, a small seed of doubt plants itself in his mind. Who calls in an $85 million aircraft for a pickup? As Marcus walks across the wet tarmac toward his jet, the floodlights catch the determination in his eyes. But inside his mind, time shifts backward. The rain, the humiliation, the disrespect, it all echoes another moment from 22 years ago. 16-year-old Marcus stands at the entrance of Meadowbrook Country Club in Connecticut. He wears his best clothes, khakis from Target, a polo shirt his mother bought on clearance sneakers he scrubbed clean that morning. In his hand, he holds a letter confirming his summer internship with the club's IT department. The man blocking his path looks exactly like Bradley will 2 decades later. Same arrogance, same sneer, same absolute certainty that he knows who belongs and who doesn't. "Excuse me," Son, the country club manager, says. Employees enter through the service door around back. Marcus holds up his letter. "I'm Marcus Rivera. I'm starting my internship today." The manager barely glances at the letter. "Right. Kitchen staff. Service entrance." "This isn't for kitchen staff," Marcus says quietly. "This is for the computer upgrade." The manager's laugh is sharp dismissive. "Computer system. Son, we don't hire your kind for technical positions." The words hit like a physical blow. Marcus feels his face burn with shame and anger, but he forces himself to stay calm. "Sir, there must be a misunderstanding. I was accepted for this position based on my programming skills." A small crowd gathers. Club members in tennis whites and golf attire attracted by the commotion. Their faces show amusement, not concern. "Look, kid," the manager continues loudly enough for everyone to hear. "I don't know how you got that letter, but it's obviously some kind of mistake. Now, please use the service entrance before I call security." Marcus's father, David Rivera, appears from the parking lot. He's just finished his shift at the construction site across town. His work clothes are dusty, his hands calloused. He sees his son's humiliation, and his jaw tightens. "Is there a problem here?" David asks. The manager turns his attention to the older man. "Are you this boy's father?" You need to teach him about appropriate entrances. This is a private club. David looks at his son, then at the letter in Marcus's hand, then at the crowd of wealthy spectators enjoying the show. His voice is calm but carries an edge of steel. My son was invited here because he's smarter than anyone in this building. He builds computers while your members can barely operate them. The manager crosses his arms. Regardless, he doesn't belong inside the main clubhouse. David nods slowly. He puts his hand on Marcus's shoulder. Son, remember this moment. Remember exactly how this feels. Marcus looks up at his father, confusion in his eyes. Remember it, David continues, because one day you won't be asking these people for permission. You'll own the table they're trying to keep you from. And when that day comes, you'll have a choice. You can become them, or you can become something better. The manager taps his foot impatiently. Are we done here? David ignores him. He looks directly at his son. What you do with power defines who you are. Don't use it to hurt people who can't fight back. Use it to make sure no one else has to stand where you're standing right now. Marcus nods, not fully understanding, but knowing his father's words matter. The manager sighs dramatically. Security is on the way. You both need to leave. David turns to leave, but Marcus doesn't move immediately. He looks at each face in the crowd, memorizing them. He looks at the manager, who's still smirking. I'll remember this, Marcus says quietly. The manager laughs. I'm sure you will, kid. I'm sure you will. 22 years later, standing in the rain outside Westchester Executive Terminal, Marcus carries those words with him. His father died 5 years ago, but his voice remains clear. Use power to make sure no one else has to stand where you're standing. Marcus reaches the aircraft stairs. The door opens, revealing Carmen Valdez, his chief flight attendant. She holds a large black umbrella and steps down to meet him. Welcome back, Mr. Rivera, she says warmly. Inside the terminal, Bradley presses his face against the glass. His mouth falls open as he watches the interaction. How does the vagrant know the flight crew? Bradley mutters. Emma's live stream captures his confused expression. Her viewer count has passed 100,000. Comments scroll by so fast they're unreadable. Ashley coordinates with news outlets, sliding into her DMs. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Everyone wants the exclusive footage. David Park finally speaks up from his corner. His voice cuts through the silence in the lobby. That's Marcus Rivera, David announces. CEO of Rivera Technologies. Net worth $12 billion. The room goes silent except for the humming of the jet engines outside. James Patterson, the banker who was laughing minutes earlier, drops his champagne glass. It shatters on the marble floor. Bradley's face drains of color. He stumbles backward from the window. That's impossible, Bradley whispers. He was wearing a hoodie. David holds up his phone showing Marcus's Forbes magazine cover. Same face. Same man you just humiliated and threw out in the rain. The reality crashes over Bradley like a wave. Everything he thought he knew about the situation flips upside down. Outside, Marcus pauses at the bottom of the aircraft stairs. He turns back toward the terminal windows. Through the glass, he can see every face watching him. He can see Bradley's panic, the passengers' shock, the staff's growing realization. Marcus remembers his father's words about power and choice. Today, he decides Bradley Thornton learns what consequences feel like. Marcus climbs the stairs toward his aircraft, toward his moment of decision about what to do with the power he's about to unleash. Inside the terminal lobby, chaos erupts in whispers and panicked phone calls. Bradley stands frozen by the windows watching Marcus disappear into the aircraft. His hands shake as reality settles over him like a weight. James Patterson drops his second champagne glass. This one doesn't just shatter, it explodes against the marble floor, sending crystal fragments across the polished surface. $12 billion, James whispers to himself. I mocked a man worth $12 billion. Ashley Thompson's live stream shows her own face, pale and shocked. She addresses her 200,000 viewers directly. Guys, we just witnessed something historic. This isn't just about one racist manager anymore. This is about how wealth and power hide in plain sight and how prejudice blinds people to truth. Emma Rodriguez coordinates with Ashley, splitting screen time between both their audiences. Together, they've created an unstoppable social media storm. The hashtag Rivera Respect now trends #1 globally. Bradley Thornton trends #3, but not in a good way. Photos of Bradley's sneering face are being turned into memes about karma and comeuppance. Inside the Gulf Stream, Marcus moves through the cabin with purpose. The interior is stunning cream leather seats, polished wood trim technology that costs more than most people's homes. But Marcus ignores the luxury. This isn't about showing off. This is about justice. Carmen Valdez hands him a warm towel and a fresh shirt. Sir, we monitored the radio chatter while approaching. We know what happened inside. Marcus nods, drying his face. How long until we're ready for takeoff? Captain Rodriguez's voice comes through the intercom. Sir, we're fueled and ready. But if I may suggest, ground control is very confused about our positioning. We're blocking the main terminal view. Perfect, Marcus replies. Keep us exactly where we are. Carmen's expression shows concern. Sir, they're threatening to call airport authority about safety violations. Let them call, Marcus says, unbuttoning his wet hoodie. I own 3% of this airport through my investment portfolio. They won't tow my plane. Inside the terminal, Bradley finally moves. He rushes to the reception desk, grabbing his radio and phone simultaneously. Control tower. This is Terminal Manager Thornton, he says into the radio. We need immediate removal of aircraft at Gate 1. Safety violation in progress. The response crackles back, Mr. Thornton, that aircraft has presidential-level clearance codes. We cannot move it without authorization from federal authorities. Bradley's face turns red. Presidential codes. That's impossible. He dials his boss, Jonathan Hayes, chairman of the terminal board. The call goes straight to voicemail. Bradley tries again. Voicemail. On his third attempt, Jonathan answers. Bradley, this better be important. I'm at my daughter's wedding reception. Jonathan. We have a situation. I ejected a customer who turned out to be... You ejected a customer. Jonathan's voice sharpens. On whose authority? He was suspicious. He looked like he didn't belong. Bradley, what have you done? The man claims to be Marcus Rivera. Rivera Technologies. But that's impossible because Bradley stops talking. In the background of Jonathan's call, he hears someone say, Did he say Rivera? Marcus? Rivera just bought controlling interest in 3 regional airports this quarter. Jonathan's voice becomes ice cold. Bradley Thornton, you are suspended immediately pending investigation. Do not make any more decisions. Do not speak to media. Do not leave the terminal. The call ends. Bradley stares at his phone, watching his career evaporate in real time. Sophia Martinez stands near the coffee bar, still wearing her rain-soaked uniform. She watches Bradley's panic with a mixture of satisfaction and sympathy. She's never seen someone's world collapse so completely in such a short time. David Park approaches her quietly. Excuse me, miss. You defended that man when no one else would. Sophia nods. It was the right thing to do. I want to apologize, David continues. I sat there silent while they humiliated him. I recognized his name but said nothing. That makes me complicit. Sophia studies his face. Why are you telling me this? Because standing up to injustice shouldn't be left to people with the least power, David says. I have influence in the tech community. I should have used it. Outside rain continues to pound the tarmac, but the Gulf Stream sits steady as a mountain. Its floodlights create an otherworldly scene, turning the terminal into a fishbowl where every action is visible and recorded. Emma's live stream captures Bradley's breakdown from multiple angles. His confident posture from 30 minutes ago has collapsed into hunched shoulders and darting eyes. The viewer count passes 300,000. News trucks are arriving at the airport perimeter. Reporters set up equipment in the rain trying to get close enough to film the aircraft. Inside the jet, Marcus changes into a crisp white shirt and navy blazer. His transformation is complete from exhausted traveler to corporate executive. But more than his clothes have changed. His entire presence shifts. This is Marcus Rivera, CEO. This is the man worth $12 billion. He opens his laptop and connects to the aircraft's satellite internet. His fingers fly across the keyboard as he accesses databases most people don't know exist. Financial records for Westchester Executive Terminal appear on his screen. The facility is struggling. Revenue down 18% over 2 years. Several discrimination lawsuits settled quietly. Bradley Thornton has 4 previous complaints in his personnel file. Marcus's phone buzzes. Isabella Guerrero, his assistant, calling from corporate headquarters. Mr. Rivera. Isabella's voice is crisp and efficient. I've been monitoring the situation. Social media engagement is enormous. Rivera Respect has over 2 million mentions in the past hour. Good, Marcus replies. What about the terminal ownership structure? The facility management contract comes up for renewal in 6 months. The board is considering selling due to financial pressure. I can have acquisition documents ready within the hour. Do it, Marcus says. But I want something else first. Yes, sir. Patch me into the terminal's internal PA system. I want to address everyone inside. Sir, that would require cooperation from their technical staff. Isabella. I designed the networking infrastructure for half the airports on the East Coast. I don't need their cooperation. Marcus opens a second laptop, this one equipped with wireless penetration testing equipment. Within minutes, he has access to the terminal's internal audio. The public address speakers throughout the lobby crackle to life. Bradley jerks his head up from his desk where he's been frantically deleting emails and text messages. The speakers haven't made any noise except scheduled announcements in months. Marcus's voice fills the terminal calm and clear. Good evening. This is Marcus Rivera speaking to you from my aircraft parked outside your windows. Every conversation in the lobby stops. Phones turn toward the speakers as if they could capture the voice visually. 30 minutes ago, your terminal manager decided I didn't belong in your facility. He judged me by my appearance, confiscated my credit card, and forced me to stand in the rain. Bradley tries to reach for his phone to call someone, anyone who might help him, but his hands shake too badly to dial. Mr. Thornton made his decision based on the color of my skin and the clothes I was wearing. He chose prejudice over professionalism. He chose assumptions over evidence. Sophia finds herself holding her breath. She's never heard someone speak with such controlled power before. But this story isn't about Mr. Thornton. Marcus continues, this story is about choice, about what we do when we have power over others, about whether we build people up or tear them down. Inside the aircraft, Marcus looks through the window at the faces pressed against the glass. He can see Bradley, clearly can see the man's terror and regret. Mr. Thornton, Marcus says, his voice carrying through the speakers like judgment. You made your choice 30 minutes ago. Now I'm going to make mine. The silence in the terminal is electric. 200 people hold their breath waiting for Marcus Rivera's next words. Outside, his aircraft idles like a sleeping giant, floodlights keeping everyone visible. But Marcus doesn't speak immediately. The pause stretches, builds tension, allows the weight of the moment to settle on everyone inside. Emma Rodriguez's live stream viewer count hits 400,000. Comments flood her screen faster than any human could read. People are sharing the stream across every platform, tagging news outlets, celebrities, politicians. Ashley Thompson coordinates with Emma, both women understanding they're documenting something historical. Their combined audience represents nearly 1 million people watching justice unfold in real time. Bradley Thornton stands behind the reception desk like a deer in headlights. He looks around the lobby, desperately seeking support, sympathy, anything. But every face that meets his gaze quickly looks away. The rain outside has softened to a steady patter, but the aircraft's engines continue their low rumble. The sound penetrates the building's walls, a constant reminder of power waiting to be unleashed. David Park pulls out his own phone and opens his corporate Twitter account. He has 50,000 followers in the tech industry. His hands shake as he types, "I just witnessed Marcus Rivera face racial discrimination at Westchester Terminal. I sat silent while it happened. I failed as a human being and as an ally. This ends now." He attaches Emma's live stream link and hits send. Within minutes, his post gets retweeted by tech leaders across Silicon Valley. The story spreads beyond social media into corporate circles, investment groups, boardrooms. Sophia Martinez watches the social media explosion with amazement. She's never seen anything like this. Hundreds of thousands of strangers are rallying behind a man they've never met, demanding justice for treatment she witnesses daily. But this time feels different. This time, the victim has power to fight back. James Patterson, the banker who mocked Marcus's appearance, tries to blend into the background. He deletes his own social media posts from earlier in the day, hoping to erase evidence of his participation in the humiliation. Too late. Screenshots exist. Video exists. The internet never forgets. Carmen Valdez moves through the aircraft cabin, preparing for whatever comes next. She's worked for Marcus for 3 years, has seen him negotiate billion-dollar deals with the same calm intensity he showed in the terminal. Sir Carmen says quietly, "The media presence outside is growing. Airport security is setting up barriers to control the crowd." Marcus nods without looking away from his laptop. "Good. I want witnesses to what happens next." On his screen, Marcus reviews the terminal's operational data. Staffing numbers, revenue figures, customer complaint reports. The picture they paint isn't pretty. Under Bradley's management, customer satisfaction has dropped 23%. Complaints about discriminatory treatment have increased by 40%. Revenue has declined as premium customers choose other facilities. Marcus's phone buzzes with calls from reporters, board members, federal authorities. He ignores them all. Isabella Guerrero's voice comes through his secure line. "Mr. Rivera, I have Jonathan Hayes on hold. He's requesting immediate conference." "Patch him through," Marcus replies. Jonathan Hayes's voice crackles through the connection. He sounds panicked, desperate. "Mr. Rivera, I sincerely apologize for this incident." Bradley Thornton acted without authority. "We're conducting a full investigation." Marcus's response is ice cold. "Mr. Hayes, your investigation is unnecessary. I have video evidence, witness testimony, and documentation of prior incidents under Mr. Thornton's leadership. We can resolve this privately," Jonathan pleads. "Financial compensation, public apology, whatever you require." Marcus almost smiles. "You still don't understand. This isn't about money." "Then what do you want?" Justice Marcus says simply. "Accountability. Change." Through the aircraft windows, Marcus can see Bradley pacing behind the reception desk like a trapped animal. The man's career is disintegrating in real time, and he knows it. Emma's live stream captures Bradley's breakdown from multiple angles. His earlier confidence has completely evaporated. He looks smaller now, diminished. The hashtag Bradley Thornton trends worldwide, but not as a celebration. Memes mock his arrogance. Screenshots highlight his prejudice. His name becomes synonymous with entitled racism. But Marcus isn't finished. His voice returns to the PA speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience," Marcus says. "I want to address something important." The lobby falls silent again. What happened here tonight wasn't unusual. It happens every day in terminals and restaurants and boardrooms across this country. The only difference is that tonight it was recorded. Tonight, there were witnesses. Tonight, there will be consequences. Sophia feels tears welling in her eyes. Someone finally said it. Someone with power finally acknowledged what she's seen countless times. Bradley makes one last desperate play. He grabs the PA microphone at his desk. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your terminal manager. We're experiencing a security incident with an unauthorized aircraft. Please remain calm while authorities respond." His voice shakes. He sounds anything but authoritative. Marcus's laugh comes through the speakers, not cruel, but genuinely amused. "Mr. Thornton, you just called me a security threat on live television." That was unwise. Marcus opens another program on his laptop. Financial markets data streams across his screen. "Did you know, Mr. Thornton, that your terminal's parent company, Westchester Aviation Holdings, derives 47% of its revenue from technology contracts with my company?" Bradley's face goes white. "Those contracts come up for renewal next month," Marcus continues. "I'm sure the board will find today's incident illuminating when making their decision." Jonathan Hayes's voice explodes through Marcus's phone. "You can't do this. You can't destroy our business over one employee's mistake." "Watch me," Marcus replies and ends the call. The social media firestorm reaches mainstream news. CNN interrupts regular programming for breaking news about viral discrimination incident. Fox News scrambles reporters to the airport. MSNBC leads with the story. But Marcus isn't watching the news. He's implementing justice. His fingers fly across the keyboard, accessing corporate databases, financial solutions, contract renewals. Every lever of power he controls is about to be pulled. Outside, the rain stops completely. The aircraft's floodlights illuminate the terminal like a spotlight on a stage. Inside, Bradley Thornton realizes he's not just losing his job. He's about to lose everything. The terminal lobby has transformed into something resembling a fishbowl. Every person inside feels exposed under the aircraft's relentless floodlights. Conversations happen in whispers. People move carefully aware that hundreds of thousands of viewers are watching their every reaction. Bradley Thornton stands behind his desk, no longer the confident authority figure who ejected Marcus Rivera 30 minutes ago. His expensive suit is wrinkled, his perfectly styled hair disheveled from running his hands through it in panic. He tries to call his wife, but his hands shake too badly to dial correctly. He tries to access his computer, but finds his administrative credentials have been revoked remotely. Someone with higher authority has locked him out of his own controls. Sophia Martinez watches Bradley's deterioration with mixed feelings. Part of her feels satisfied seeing him face consequences for years of treating people badly. But another part recognizes the human cost of watching someone's world collapse. Emma Rodriguez adjusts her phone angle to capture the full scope of the situation. Her live stream now draws viewers from around the world. Comments come in dozens of languages, but the sentiment is universal. Justice is coming. The viewer counter passes 600,000. Emma has never experienced anything like this. She's a travel blogger who usually gets a few hundred views per video. Tonight, she's documenting history. Ashley Thompson coordinates with major news networks sliding into her direct messages. CNN wants exclusive footage. MSNBC offers payment for interviews. Fox News requests statements from witnesses, but Ashley declines them all. This story belongs to the people watching it unfold, not to corporate media looking for sound bites. Inside the Gulf Stream, Marcus reviews personnel files for Westchester Executive Terminal. Years of complaints about Bradley's behavior scroll across his screen. Customer complaints, staff grievances, discrimination allegations, all handled quietly buried in confidential files. But Marcus has access to everything. His company provides cybersecurity services to hundreds of corporations. Legal discovery tools, forensic analysis, software data recovery solutions, all originally designed to protect companies now use to expose their failures. Carmen Valdez approaches with updates from the ground. Sir Airport Authority has arrived. They're requesting immediate conference about safety violations. Tell them I'll be available in 10 minutes. Marcus replies without looking up from his laptop. Captain Rodriguez's voice comes through the intercom. Mr. Rivera ground control is becoming insistent about our positioning. They're threatening to declare an emergency. Let them declare what they want. Marcus responds. We have diplomatic clearance codes. They can't move us without federal authorization. Outside, the media circus grows larger. News vans line the airport perimeter. Reporters set up in the rain, broadcasting live to national audiences. The story has transcended social media to become mainstream news. David Park sends messages to his professional network, leveraging his connections in the tech industry. Within minutes, other tech leaders begin posting their own experiences with discrimination, their own moments of staying silent when they should have spoken up. The conversation expands beyond one incident to become a broader reckoning about privilege, power, and responsibility. James Patterson deletes his social media accounts entirely, but it's too late. Screenshots of his mocking comments circulate widely. His employer, a mid-tier investment firm, begins receiving calls from clients demanding explanations. The cost of prejudice compounds rapidly in the age of viral accountability. Sofia Martinez's phone buzzes with friend requests and messages from strangers who watched her defend Marcus. She's become an unlikely hero in this story, the low-wage worker who showed more character than anyone else in the room. But Sofia doesn't feel heroic. She feels tired. Tired of watching people get treated badly because of their appearance. Tired of staying quiet to keep jobs that barely pay enough to survive. Tonight feels different because someone with power is fighting back. But tomorrow, the powerful will still be powerful, and people like her will still need to choose between speaking up and keeping paychecks. Marcus's phone rings. Isabella Guerrero's voice comes through the secure line. Sir, I have 3 major news networks requesting immediate interviews. The White House press secretary mentioned the incident in tonight's briefing. Congressional leaders are calling for investigations into discrimination at federal transportation facilities. Good, Marcus replies. What about the terminal's board of directors? Emergency session called for tonight. Jonathan Hayes is trying to arrange private settlement negotiations. No settlements, Marcus says firmly. Public accountability only. In the lobby, Bradley makes one final desperate attempt to control the narrative. He grabs a microphone and addresses the passengers directly. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to apologize for any misunderstanding that occurred earlier tonight. Sometimes in our effort to maintain security protocols can appear overly aggressive. His words ring hollow. Video evidence of his clear discrimination is playing on screens around the world. No one believes his misunderstanding excuse. Emma's live stream captures passengers rolling their eyes at Bradley's pathetic attempt at damage control. Comments mock his obvious lie. Marcus's voice returns to the PA speakers cutting through Bradley's damage control. Mr. Thornton, your apology is noted but insufficient. Actions have consequences. Choices have prices. Bradley looks toward the windows desperately. Through the glass, he can see Marcus silhouetted in the aircraft's cabin laptop open, orchestrating the destruction of Bradley's career with corporate precision. What happens now isn't about revenge, Marcus continues. It's about accountability. It's about making sure this doesn't happen again to someone who doesn't have an $85 million aircraft to make their point. The lobby remains silent, except for the aircraft engine's constant rumble. For too long, discrimination has been consequence-free for perpetrators while being life-altering for victims. Tonight, we reverse that equation. Bradley sinks into his chair. He understands now that this isn't going to blow over. This isn't going to be handled quietly. This is going to follow him for the rest of his career, possibly the rest of his life. Marcus closes his laptop and stands. Through the aircraft windows, he looks at the faces pressed against the terminal glass. Hundreds of people watching, waiting to see what justice looks like when power aligns with righteousness. Carmen prepares for whatever comes next. She's never seen Marcus this focused, this determined. Usually his business dealings involve numbers and contracts and negotiation. Tonight feels personal. Sir Carmen asks quietly, "What are your instructions?" Marcus adjusts his blazer and checks his watch. "I'm going back inside." The statement sends electricity through the aircraft cabin. Captain Rodriguez's voice crackles through the intercom with concern. "Sir, the situation inside remains volatile. Recommend security escort." "No escort needed," Marcus replies. "I'm not going back as a victim. I'm going back as an owner." Carmen's eyes widen. Sir Marcus almost smiles. "Isabella just completed acquisition of the terminal management contract. As of 3 minutes ago, I own this facility. The transformation is complete. Marcus Rivera is no longer the exhausted traveler who got discriminated against. He's the owner of the building where it happened. And he's about to deliver consequences that will echo far beyond one terminal, one manager, one moment of prejudice." The aircraft door opens. Marcus steps into the rain, but this time he doesn't get wet. Carmen holds an umbrella over him as he walks back toward the terminal where Bradley Thornton waits for judgment. Marcus Rivera walks across the rain-soaked tarmac with purpose. Each step is measured, deliberate. Behind him, the Gulfstream's engines idle at the perfect RPM to create maximum psychological impact, loud enough to demand attention, powerful enough to shake windows, constant enough to serve as an audio backdrop for what's about to unfold. The floodlights from his aircraft cast long shadows across the ground. Marcus moves through these shadows like a figure of justice returning to claim what's rightfully his. His transformation from victim to owner is complete, visible in every line of his posture. Inside the terminal, faces press against the windows. Every passenger, every staff member, every person with a phone trains their attention on the man approaching their building. They don't know what's coming, but they sense its magnitude. Bradley Thornton stands frozen behind his reception desk. 35 minutes ago, he ordered this man to leave through the service entrance. Now he watches that same man return with the confidence of someone who owns the place, because he does. Emma Rodriguez's live stream captures Marcus's approach from multiple angles. Her viewer count has passed 800,000. The comments section moves so fast, it's a blur of languages and reactions, but the sentiment is universal. Something historic is happening. Ashley Thompson coordinates her coverage with Emma's, creating a multi-angle documentation of events. Together, they've built an audience larger than most television networks achieve during prime time. Marcus reaches the terminal entrance. The automatic glass doors slide open to receive him, but he doesn't enter immediately. He stands in the doorway, rain dripping from his blazer, and surveys the lobby. Every conversation stops. 200 people hold their breath. Sophia Martinez watches from near the coffee bar, still wearing her damp uniform from when she followed Marcus outside. She's never seen someone command a room simply by entering it. Marcus steps inside. Water from his shoes leaves marks on the polished marble floor, the same floor Bradley forced him to cross in humiliation 35 minutes ago. But everything has changed now. The power dynamic, the context, the consequences waiting to be delivered. Marcus walks directly to the reception desk where Bradley stands. He doesn't speak immediately. The silence builds tension, allows anticipation to grow. The aircraft engines outside provide a constant bass note under the scene. Every person in the lobby can feel the vibrations through the floor, a physical reminder of the power Marcus commands. Bradley's mouth opens and closes without sound. He looks like a fish gasping for air. "Good evening," Marcus says finally. His voice carries clearly across the silent lobby. "I believe you have something that belongs to me." Bradley's hands shake as he reaches for the safe behind the desk. He fumbles with the combination twice before getting it right. Inside Marcus's black credit card sits exactly where Bradley placed it 35 minutes ago. Bradley holds out the card with trembling fingers. Marcus doesn't take it immediately. He lets Bradley stand there, arm extended, experiencing the discomfort of waiting for acknowledgement. "Mr. Thornton," Marcus says calmly, "do you remember what you told me when you confiscated my card?" Bradley's voice comes out as a whisper. "I was following security protocols." Marcus shakes his head. "No. You said, and I quote, 'People like you don't belong here.' You said I should find the bus station where people like me catch rides." The lobby remains silent except for the sound of phones recording and the distant rumble of aircraft engines. "You judged me by my appearance," Marcus continues, "by my clothes, my fatigue, my race. You decided I was suspicious based on nothing more than your prejudice." Bradley tries to speak, but Marcus holds up a hand to stop him. "You confiscated my property. You called security. You forced me to stand in the rain while you celebrated your victory with champagne." Emma's live stream shows Bradley's face clearly. He looks like he's aged 10 years in 10 minutes. But most importantly, Marcus says, stepping closer to the desk, "You did all of this publicly. You made sure everyone could see you humiliating someone you thought couldn't fight back." David Park watches from his corner, his phone recording everything for his professional network. He's documenting this for the tech industry, making sure this moment becomes a case study in accountability. James Patterson tries to make himself invisible near the windows. He deletes text messages frantically, trying to erase evidence of his participation in mocking Marcus. Too late. Screenshots exist. The internet never forgets. Marcus finally takes his credit card from Bradley's shaking hand. He doesn't put it away. He holds it up for everyone to see. "This card represents more than purchasing power," Marcus says to the room. "It represents the right to be treated with dignity regardless of appearance. It represents the expectation that professionalism will override prejudice." Sofia Martinez feels tears welling in her eyes. Someone finally said it. Someone with power finally acknowledged what happens to people without power every single day. Mr. Thornton violated both principles. Marcus continues. "He stole from me, discriminated against me, and humiliated me in front of witnesses." Bradley finds his voice, though it cracks with desperation. "Mr. Rivera, I sincerely apologize. It was a mistake. A misunderstanding." Marcus's expression doesn't soften. A mistake is adding numbers incorrectly. A misunderstanding is miscommunicating instructions. What you did was deliberate discrimination based on racial prejudice. The weight of those words settles over the lobby like a judgment. Carmen Valdez appears in the terminal entrance holding legal documents. She approaches Marcus with professional efficiency. Sir Carmen says quietly, "The acquisition paperwork is complete. All contracts are signed and filed." Marcus nods. "Thank you, Carmen." Bradley looks confused. Acquisition paperwork. Marcus turns his attention back to Bradley. "Mr. Thornton, I have an announcement to make." The lobby holds its collective breath. "As of 20 minutes ago, I purchased the management contract for this terminal facility. I am now your employer." The silence that follows is profound. Even the social media comments seem to pause as the magnitude of this revelation settles over everyone. Bradley's legs give out. He grabs the edge of his desk to keep from falling, which means Marcus continues that your employment status is now my decision to make. Emma's live stream explodes with reactions. The viewer count passes 1 million. News outlets share her feed across their platforms. The story trends globally. Bradley Thornton Marcus says formally you are terminated for cause, effective immediately. The words echo through the lobby like a gavel falling. Security will escort you from the premises. Marcus continues. You are banned from this facility permanently. Any attempt to return will result in arrest for trespassing. Bradley tries to speak, but no words come out. Furthermore, Marcus says I am implementing immediate policy changes. No employee of this facility will ever again be permitted to discriminate against customers based on race appearance or perceived economic status. Sophia Martinez watches in amazement. In 35 minutes, the power structure of her workplace has completely reversed. Training will begin immediately for all staff on dignity, respect, and equal treatment. Marcus continues. Anyone unable to meet these standards will be replaced. Carmen approaches with additional documents. Sir, these are the new employment contracts for management positions. Marcus reviews the papers, then looks up at the crowd. Sophia Martinez. Marcus says clearly. Sophia's heart stops. She looks around, wondering if there's another Sophia in the building. Please approach the desk, Marcus requests. Sophia walks forward on unsteady legs. She has no idea what's coming. Ms. Martinez, Marcus says when she reaches him. You showed character tonight. You defended a stranger when it cost you your job. You stood in the rain rather than watch injustice unfold. Sophia nods, unable to speak. I'm offering you the position of terminal manager, Marcus says. Tripled salary, full benefits, authority to hire and train staff according to the new dignity standards. The lobby erupts, not in cheers but in shocked gasps and excited whispers. Sophia stares at Marcus, trying to process what she just heard. Do you accept? Marcus asks gently. Sophia finds her voice. Yes. Yes, I accept. Bradley watches his replacement get hired in real time. The woman he fired for defending Marcus is now taking his job, his office, his authority. The irony is perfect. The justice is complete. Marcus shakes Sophia's hand, then addresses the lobby one final time. Change begins with individual choices, Marcus says. Tonight everyone in this room made a choice. Some chose silence. Some chose participation. Some chose documentation. Some chose justice. He looks directly at Bradley, who's being approached by security guards. And some chose discrimination. The consequences of that choice are now clear. Bradley is escorted toward the service exit, the same exit he forced Marcus to use. The symbolism is intentional and unmistakable. Marcus doesn't watch Bradley leave. He's already focused on the future, on building something better from the ashes of what was broken. Outside, the aircraft engines begin to wind down. The floodlights remain on, but the constant rumble fades. The performance is over. The justice has been delivered. But the impact of this night will echo far beyond this terminal, far beyond this moment. The moment Marcus announces his ownership of the terminal, something fundamental shifts in the lobby. It's not just the power dynamic that changes, it's the very air itself. 200 people suddenly understand they've witnessed something extraordinary. Emma Rodriguez's livestream chat explodes with reactions in dozens of languages. The phrase, "he bought the terminal," repeats in English, Spanish, French, German, Mandarin. The story transcends cultural barriers because justice is a universal language. Bradley Thornton stands motionless as security approaches him. These aren't the same guards who work for the terminal. These are Marcus's private security team professionals in dark suits who materialized as if from nowhere. The lead guard, a woman named Detective Sarah Brooks, approaches Bradley with legal documents. Mr. Thornton, you're being served with a restraining order prohibiting you from contacting Mr. Rivera or any employee of this facility. Bradley takes the papers with numb fingers. His brain can't process the speed at which his world has collapsed. Additionally, Detective Brooks continues, you have 15 minutes to collect personal items from your office. Anything remaining after that time becomes property of the facility. Bradley looks around the lobby, desperately seeking sympathy or support. Every face that meets his gaze quickly looks away. He's become radioactive. Association with him could mean professional suicide. James Patterson, the banker who mocked Marcus's shoes, slides along the wall trying to reach the exit unnoticed, but his movement catches Marcus's attention. "Mr. Patterson," Marcus calls out clearly. James freezes like a deer in headlights. "I believe you made some comments about my appearance earlier this evening." James's face turns pale. He looks around the lobby, realizing hundreds of thousands of people are watching this moment through Emma's live stream. "You mentioned something about the Salvation Army having a sale." Marcus continues. "You found my situation amusing." The lobby is silent, except for the soft hum of phones recording. "Mr. Patterson," Marcus says calmly. "What's the name of your investment firm?" James whispers the name, but Marcus can't hear him. "I'm sorry, could you speak up?" Marcus requests. "I want to make sure everyone hears you clearly." "Whitmore Financial Holdings." James says louder, his voice cracking. Marcus nods thoughtfully. "Whitmore Financial. Yes, we've done business with them." "Not anymore, of course." James's eyes widen in horror. "Mr. Rivera, please." Marcus holds up a hand. "I'm not finished, Mr. Patterson. You see, Whitmore Financial manages the pension fund for several companies in my investment portfolio. About $40 million in assets under your management." The math hits James like a physical blow. $40 million in lost accounts means his career is over. Discrimination has costs, Mr. Patterson. Tonight you're learning what those costs feel like. James tries to speak, but Marcus has already moved on. The punishment is delivered. The lesson is clear. The consequences are final. David Park watches this exchange with growing horror. He realizes Marcus knows exactly who everyone is, what companies they work for, what leverage he can apply. This isn't random revenge. This is precise justice. Sofia Martinez stands beside Marcus, now still processing her promotion from fired waitress to terminal manager in the span of one conversation. She looks around the lobby, her lobby now with wonder and responsibility. Carmen Valdez approaches with additional documentation. "Sir, the press release is ready for distribution." Marcus reviews the document on Carmen's tablet. The headline reads, "Rivera Technologies acquires Westchester Executive Terminal following discrimination incident." The press release doesn't just announce the acquisition. It details Marcus's experience, Bradley's actions, the viral video documentation, and the immediate policy changes being implemented. "Send it to all major networks," Marcus instructs. "I want this story told completely, not just in fragments." Ashley Thompson's live stream captures the efficiency of Marcus's operation. This isn't a spontaneous reaction, it's a carefully orchestrated response to injustice. Legal teams, public relations specialists, security professionals, all coordinated to deliver accountability. Her viewers realize they're watching power used responsibly, not for revenge, but for reform. Bradley returns from his office carrying a small cardboard box. 15 years of career achievements reduced to personal mementos that fit in a container meant for printer paper. Detective Brooks escorts him toward the service exit. The symbolism is intentional. The same door Marcus was forced to use is now Bradley's path to unemployment. As they pass the reception desk, Bradley stops. He looks at Sophia, who's now reviewing her new responsibilities with Carmen. Sophia Bradley says quietly, "I'm sorry." Sophia looks up from the documents. The apology hangs in the air between them. Sorry for what specifically Sophia asks. Bradley struggles to find words. For everything. For how I treated people. For how I treated you. Sophia considers his words carefully. "Mr. Thornton, you didn't just treat me badly. You treated everyone badly who couldn't fight back. That wasn't policy. That was character. Bradley nods slowly. You're right. The admission doesn't change anything, but it acknowledges truth. Sometimes that's the beginning of real change. Detective Brooks gently guides Bradley toward the exit. As they reach the door, Marcus calls out one final time. Mr. Thornton. Bradley turns back, hope flickering in his eyes. In 6 months, Marcus says calmly, if you can demonstrate genuine change, volunteer work diversity training, community service. Ms. Martinez might consider an entry-level position here. Bradley's eyes widen. Even Sophia looks surprised. Everyone deserves a path to redemption, Marcus continues. Even the people who need it most. The statement echoes through the lobby. Justice without mercy is revenge. Justice with mercy is transformation. Bradley nods, unable to speak, and follows Detective Brooks outside. The lobby remains silent for several moments after they leave. People process what they've witnessed, not just the consequences of discrimination, but the possibility of redemption through genuine change. Marcus addresses the crowd one final time. Tonight wasn't about destroying one man, Marcus says clearly. Tonight was about building something better. About creating a place where dignity matters more than appearance, where respect is automatic rather than earned through wealth or status. Emma's live stream shows faces throughout the lobby, some ashamed, some inspired, all changed by what they've experienced. This terminal will become a model for how service industries should operate. Marcus continues. Not just here, but everywhere. Because when we demand better, we get better. Sophia steps forward slightly. She's still nervous about her new authority, but she understands the responsibility that comes with it. Starting tomorrow, Sophia announces to the lobby we begin training every staff member on equal treatment protocols. We implement bias reporting procedures. We create an environment where everyone feels welcome. Applause breaks out spontaneously. Not polite golf claps, but genuine appreciation for the promise of change. Marcus checks his watch. Ladies and gentlemen, I have business to attend to in Los Angeles, but I'll be back next week to review our progress. He walks toward the exit, then pauses at the door. One final thought, Marcus says. Power without accountability is tyranny. Accountability without consequences is theater. Tonight we proved that consequences are real when you choose to discriminate. Marcus steps outside into the night air. The rain has stopped completely. His aircraft waits under clear skies, engines beginning their pre-flight cycle. Inside the terminal, people begin to disperse. But the conversations are different now. Instead of gossip about the incident, they discuss change responsibility, the power of individual choice. Sophia Martinez walks to her new office, Bradley's former office. She sits behind the desk and looks out at the lobby through the glass partition. For the first time in her working life, she has the power to make things better. The opportunity to ensure no one else experiences what she's watched happen too many times. Outside, Marcus boards his aircraft. As the door closes behind him, he carries with him not just the satisfaction of justice delivered, but the responsibility of ensuring tonight's changes become permanent. The Gulfstream taxis away from the terminal, its job complete. But the story continues inside, where Sophia Martinez begins planning the transformation of an industry one policy at a time. The Gulfstream's engines spool up to take off power, creating one final crescendo before departing Westchester Executive Terminal. Inside the aircraft, Marcus Rivera settles into his seat and opens his laptop to review the evening's work. 3 hours ago, he was an exhausted traveler seeking a quiet place to wait for his flight. Now he's the owner of a transportation facility and the architect of industry-wide policy changes that will echo for decades. But Marcus doesn't celebrate. He focuses on implementation. Isabella Guerrero's voice comes through the satellite phone. Sir, the press release has been picked up by every major news network. CNN is leading with the story. The hashtag Terminal Justice is trending globally. Marcus nods while reviewing financial projections for the terminal's transformation. Good. What about the discrimination monitoring software development team is accelerating timeline? We can have pilot version deployed within 60 days. Make it 30 days, Marcus instructs. I want every major transportation hub in the country to have access to bias detection technology before the end of the quarter. Inside the terminal, the aftermath of justice unfolds in real time. Sofia Martinez sits in her new office overwhelmed by the responsibility but energized by the opportunity. She reviews personnel files, customer complaint records, financial reports. The picture they paint is worse than she imagined. Under Bradley's leadership, discrimination wasn't occasional, it was institutional. Sofia picks up her new office phone and dials the first number on her change agenda. Ms. Rodriguez, this is Sofia Martinez, the new terminal manager. I'm calling to personally apologize for the discrimination you experienced here last month and to inform you that we're implementing comprehensive reforms. One call becomes 5, then 10, then 20. Sofia spends her first hour as manager apologizing to customers Bradley had mistreated. Each conversation is different, but the sentiment is the same. Finally, someone with authority cares about treating people with dignity. Emma Rodriguez's live stream has evolved into a discussion forum about discrimination in travel. Her viewers share their own experiences, creating a database of incidents across airports, hotels, rental car companies. The conversation expands beyond one terminal to examine entire industries. Marcus's actions have created space for broader accountability. David Park uses his platform to amplify the discussion within tech circles. His Twitter thread about staying silent during discrimination receives thousands of shares, spawning conversations about allyship and responsibility. His honesty about his own failures creates permission for other leaders to acknowledge their moments of moral cowardice. The conversation becomes constructive rather than accusatory. James Patterson's career implodes over the next several hours. By morning, Whitmore Financial Holdings receives calls from clients questioning their association with someone whose discrimination was broadcast globally. The pension funds Marcus mentioned $40 million in assets begin withdrawal proceedings. James's employer faces a choice: fire him or lose business. The decision is obvious. But James's consequences extend beyond employment. His social media accounts are flooded with criticism. His country club membership is questioned. His children's school receives calls from parents uncomfortable with association. The cost of prejudice compounds exponentially in the age of viral accountability. Meanwhile, Bradley Thornton sits in a 24-hour diner near the highway, nursing a cup of coffee he can barely afford. His credit cards were canceled when his employment terminated. His company car was repossessed. His apartment lease is in question. He stares at his phone, scrolling through news coverage of his humiliation. Every major outlet carries the story. His face is associated with discrimination globally. But beneath the self-pity, something else stirs. Marcus's offer of redemption, the possibility of earning a second chance through genuine change, plants a seed of hope. Bradley Googles diversity training programs in his area. He researches volunteer opportunities with civil rights organizations. For the first time in his adult life, he considers how his actions affect others. The transformation won't be easy or quick. Decades of prejudice don't disappear overnight. But the possibility of redemption exists for those willing to do the work. Back in the aircraft, Marcus receives updates from his legal team. 3 other airports are requesting consultation on anti-discrimination policies. Federal transportation authorities want to discuss implementing bias monitoring across all major hubs. The ripple effects of one night's justice spread through entire industries. Carmen Valdez brings Marcus his evening briefing documents. Sir, we have requests for interviews from 67 media outlets. Congressional leaders want hearings on transportation discrimination. The NAACP is requesting partnership discussions. Marcus reviews the list thoughtfully. Schedule meetings with civil rights organizations first, media second, politicians last. He understands that real change comes from grassroots pressure, not government mandates. The organizations that fight discrimination daily deserve priority access to the tools he's developing. Captain Rodriguez's voice comes through the intercom. Mr. Rivera, we're beginning descent into Los Angeles. Local time is 11:47 p.m. Marcus looks out the window at the lights of Southern California spreading below. Somewhere down there, other travelers are experiencing discrimination in other terminals, other hotels, other businesses. But tonight's events created a blueprint for accountability, technology to monitor bias, legal frameworks for consequences, financial pressure for reform. Most importantly, proof that individual actions can create institutional change. Marcus's phone buzzes with a text from Sofia Martinez. First day complete. 23 customer apologies made. New training curriculum approved. 6 discrimination complaints resolved. Thank you for the opportunity to build something better. Marcus smiles as he reads the message. This is what justice looks like when power aligns with righteousness. Not revenge, but reform. Not destruction, but reconstruction. The aircraft touches down smoothly at Los Angeles International Airport. Marcus gathers his belongings and prepares to disembark. Tomorrow, he'll return to running a $12 billion technology company. But tonight's work, the work of holding people accountable for their choices, will continue long after he's gone. Because justice isn't a destination, it's a direction. And tonight, America's transportation industry took a significant step in the right direction. The Gulf Stream G800 levels off at 41,000 feet above the weather, above the turbulence in the smooth air where important decisions get made. Marcus Rivera transforms the aircraft's main cabin into a mobile command center coordinating the next phase of his response to discrimination. 3 laptops open on the conference table. Financial markets data streams across one screen. Legal documents fill another. The third shows a video conference with his acquisition team back in New York. Isabella Guerrero's face appears on the center monitor surrounded by lawyers, accountants, and public relations specialists working through the night. Mr. Rivera. Isabella reports we've completed due diligence on 17 regional airport facilities. All show similar patterns, declining customer satisfaction correlated with discrimination complaints. Marcus reviews the spreadsheet data. The pattern is clear and damning. Facilities with higher bias complaints lose revenue as premium customers choose alternatives. Discrimination isn't just morally wrong, it's economically stupid. What about the federal contracts, Marcus asks. Our legal team confirms that transportation facilities receiving federal funding must comply with civil rights legislation. Most aren't monitored effectively. We can change that. Marcus nods, making notes in his personal file. The solution isn't just buying one terminal, it's creating accountability across an entire industry. Carmen Valdez approaches with secure communication equipment. Sir, you have 3 priority calls holding. Department of Transportation, Secretary NAACP Chairman, and the CEO of Westchester Aviation Holdings. Take them in that order, Marcus instructs. The first call connects immediately. Transportation Secretary Janet Williams appears on screen calling from her home office at midnight. Mr. Rivera, Secretary Williams begins. I've been briefed on tonight's events. The video documentation is compelling and disturbing. Marcus leans forward slightly. Secretary Williams, what happened tonight happens daily across American transportation infrastructure. The only difference was the victim had resources to fight back. The secretary nods grimly. What are you proposing? Marcus opens a presentation file he's been preparing during the flight. Comprehensive bias monitoring across all federally funded transportation facilities. Real-time data collection. Transparent reporting. Financial consequences for institutions that tolerate discrimination. The technology exists. Marcus continues switching to technical specifications. My company already provides cybersecurity for most major airports. Adding bias detection algorithms is straightforward. Secretary Williams reviews the proposal on her screen. The scope is enormous. This would affect thousands of facilities, millions of travelers. Exactly, Marcus replies. Discrimination is a pattern, not an anomaly. We need solutions that match the scale of the problem. I'll need to review this with our Civil Rights Division, the Secretary says. But preliminary assessment suggests federal interest in pilot programs. The call ends with scheduling follow-up meetings. Real policy change requires bureaucratic patience, but Marcus has planted seeds that will grow into comprehensive reform. The second call connects to NAACP Chairman Derek Johnson, who's been monitoring the night's events through social media and news coverage. Mr. Rivera, Chairman Johnson, begins. Our legal team has been tracking the documentation from tonight. We're prepared to support broader action if you're interested in partnership. Marcus appreciates the directness. Chairman Johnson: I'm not interested in symbolic gestures. I want measurable change that protects the next person who can't afford their own aircraft. That's exactly what we want to hear, Johnson replies. Our organization has decades of experience fighting transportation discrimination. We know which legal strategies work and which don't. Marcus opens a shared document. I'm developing monitoring technology that can detect bias in real time. Your organization could help pilot the program, train facility staff, provide legal support for victims. The partnership framework takes shape quickly. NAACP provides expertise and credibility. Marcus provides technology and financial resources. Together they can create change that neither could achieve alone. The third call is different. Jonathan Hayes, CEO of Westchester Aviation Holdings, appears on screen, looking haggard and desperate. It's past 1 a.m., but sleep isn't an option for someone watching their company's reputation disintegrate in real time. Mr. Rivera Hayes begins carefully. I want to discuss resolution of tonight's incident. Marcus's expression remains neutral. Mr. Hayes, tonight's incident is already resolved. Mr. Thornton was fired. Ms. Martinez was promoted. Policies were changed. Hayes shifts uncomfortably. I'm referring to broader implications. The publicity is affecting our other facilities. Investors are asking questions. Marcus almost smiles. Good. Questions lead to answers. Answers lead to accountability. We're prepared to offer significant financial compensation, Hayes continues desperately. We'll implement whatever training programs you recommend. We'll hire diversity consultants. Marcus shakes his head. Mr. Hayes, you're still thinking in terms of damage control. I'm thinking in terms of industry transformation. The conversation continues for 20 minutes. Hayes offers money, public apologies. Policy changes everything except the fundamental accountability Marcus demands. Finally, Marcus ends the negotiation simply. Mr. Hayes, your company can either lead industry change or be replaced by companies that will. The choice is yours. After the calls, Marcus reviews financial projections with his acquisition team. Transportation infrastructure represents a $30 billion market opportunity. Companies that adapt to new accountability standards will thrive. Companies that resist will fail. Isabella presents the recommendation summary. Sir, we have identified 47 facilities for potential acquisition or partnership. Combined, they represent 18% of premium travel infrastructure on the East Coast. Marcus studies the data. Economic pressure creates change faster than regulatory pressure. If competitors offer bias-free service while others don't, market forces will drive transformation. Proceed with acquisitions, Marcus instructs. But remember, we're not just buying businesses. We're buying opportunities to prove that dignity and profitability aren't mutually exclusive. The aircraft begins descent toward Los Angeles. Below, the lights of Southern California spread like a constellation, each light representing someone who might face discrimination tomorrow. But tomorrow will be different. because tonight's actions created new possibilities. Technology to monitor bias, legal frameworks for accountability, economic incentives for change. Most importantly, proof that individual courage can become institutional transformation when supported by strategic power. Captain Rodriguez announces final approach. Marcus closes his laptops and prepares for landing. The next phase of his work will happen on the ground in boardrooms and community centers, building the coalition necessary to transform an industry. But the foundation was laid tonight 39,000 feet above Westchester County, where justice proved that altitude doesn't matter when you're fighting for human dignity. Back at Westchester Executive Terminal, Sofia Martinez sits in her new office reviewing the transformation she needs to accomplish in her first 24 hours as manager. The task feels overwhelming, but the authority to make real change energizes her in ways she's never experienced. Her first priority addressing every staff member who witnessed tonight's events and establishing new protocols immediately. Sofia picks up the PA microphone that Bradley used to humiliate Marcus just hours earlier. Now she'll use the same device to announce a new era of accountability and respect. Attention, all staff and remaining passengers. Sofia's voice carries clearly through the terminal. This is Sofia Martinez, your new facility manager. The lobby, though less crowded than during the height of the incident, still contains dozens of people. Late-night travelers, staff finishing shifts, security personnel and maintenance crews all stop what they're doing to listen. Effective immediately. Sofia continues, we are implementing comprehensive anti-discrimination policies at this facility. Every employee will receive mandatory training on equal treatment protocols within the next week. Emma Rodriguez, still live streaming to a smaller but dedicated audience, captures Sofia's first official announcements. The viewer count may have dropped from its peak, but the people still watching are those genuinely interested in seeing how transformation unfolds. Furthermore, Sofia says we are establishing an anonymous complaint process for passengers who experience discrimination. Reports will be investigated immediately by independent third parties, not by facility management. She looks through her office window at the reception desk where Bradley wielded his petty authority for 15 years. That desk now represents opportunity rather than oppression. Any employee found to be discriminating against passengers based on race appearance, economic status, or any other protected characteristic will be terminated immediately, Sofia announces. There will be no warnings, no second chances, no excuses. The statement sends a clear message to remaining staff the culture that enabled Bradley's behavior is finished. Sofia's phone rings. The caller ID shows Marcus Rivera's direct line. Mr. Rivera. Sofia answers professionally. Miss Martinez. Marcus's voice comes through clearly. I'm monitoring your announcements from the aircraft. Excellent work establishing immediate accountability. Thank you, sir. I want to make sure everyone understands the new standards. I have additional resources to support your transition, Marcus says. My legal team is preparing model policies for transportation facilities. My HR director will provide training curriculum. My technology team will install bias monitoring software. Sofia takes notes rapidly. The level of support surprises her. Most new managers get a handbook and good luck wishes. Additionally, Marcus continues, I'm arranging partnership with local civil rights organizations. They'll help train staff and provide ongoing oversight of our policies. The conversation continues for 15 minutes. Marcus outlines a comprehensive transformation plan that addresses every aspect of facility operations, hiring practices, customer service protocols, staff training, complaint, resolution, community engagement. Sofia realizes this isn't just about changing one terminal. Marcus is building a model that other facilities can replicate. One more thing, Ms. Martinez, Marcus says. Your salary has been set at $140,000 annually, plus performance bonuses based on customer satisfaction scores and discrimination complaint resolution. Sophia nearly drops the phone. The amount is more than triple her previous wages, more than she imagined making in her lifetime. "Sir, that's incredibly generous." "It's strategic," Marcus corrects. "I need someone with your character in a position of authority. Adequate compensation ensures you can focus on transformation without financial stress." After the call, Sophia addresses her staff directly. She calls an emergency meeting in the main conference room for all employees still on duty. 12 people gather around the table: reception clerks, security guards, cleaning staff, food service workers. They look nervous, uncertain about their job security under new management. Sophia begins with honesty. "Tonight you witnessed our former manager engage in racial discrimination against a customer. Some of you stayed silent. Some of you participated. Some of you were uncomfortable but didn't know how to respond." The staff exchanges glances. No one speaks. Starting tomorrow, Sophia continues: "Staying silent about discrimination makes you complicit. Participating makes you unemployable. But speaking up, standing up for what's right, makes you valuable." She distributes new employee handbooks developed by Marcus's team during the flight and transmitted electronically. "These policies aren't suggestions," Sophia explains. "They're requirements. Everyone will be retrained. Everyone will be evaluated. Everyone will be held accountable." Maria Santos, a cleaning supervisor who's worked at the terminal for 8 years, raises her hand tentatively. "Ms. Martinez," Maria asks, "what if we see discrimination but we're afraid of losing our jobs for reporting it?" Sophia looks directly at her. "Under the new policies, you'll lose your job for not reporting it. We're creating a culture where doing the right thing is rewarded, and doing the wrong thing has immediate consequences." The meeting continues for an hour. Sophia outlines specific scenarios, explains reporting procedures, describes the training programs beginning next week. Most importantly, she addresses the fear that keeps good people silent when they witness injustice. "I was afraid too," Sophia admits to the group. "For 8 months I watched Mr. Thornton treat people badly. I stayed quiet because I needed this job, but staying quiet made me part of the problem." Her honesty resonates with the staff. Several nod in recognition of their own moments of moral compromise. "Tonight, Mr. Rivera taught us that silence isn't neutral." Sophia continues. "When you stay quiet while someone gets discriminated against, you're choosing a side. From now on, we choose the right side." After the staff meeting, Sophia returns to her office to review customer complaint files from the past year. The pattern is clear and disturbing. Dozens of incidents like tonight's documented but ignored. Each complaint represents someone who was humiliated, discriminated against, treated as less than human. Under Bradley's leadership, these reports were filed away and forgotten. Sophia begins making phone calls. Customer after customer, apology after apology. It takes 4 hours, but she personally contacts every person who filed a discrimination complaint in the past 12 months. The conversations are difficult but necessary. Many customers are shocked to receive acknowledgement of their experiences. Several cry with relief at finally being heard by someone in authority. Near dawn, Sophia completes her review and begins planning the changes needed to prevent future incidents. New hiring practices that prioritize character over appearance. Training programs that build empathy alongside efficiency. Oversight programs that catch bias before it becomes discrimination. Emma Rodriguez finally ends her live stream as the sun rises over Westchester County. Her final viewer count shows over 50,000 people watched the complete transformation of the terminal overnight. But more importantly, her documentation created a permanent record of how individual courage can spark institutional change when supported by strategic action. The story spreads beyond social media into mainstream news coverage, academic research, corporate training programs. Tonight's events become a case study in accountability transformation and the power of putting the right person in positions of authority. Sofia Martinez looks out her office window at the terminal lobby as morning light streams through the glass. In 8 hours, she'll meet her first customers as the new manager. They'll enter a facility fundamentally different from the one Marcus Rivera was forced to leave the night before. Not perfect change takes time. But changed accountability has begun. She opens her computer and begins typing the first daily report to Marcus Rivera, day 1 complete. Policies established, staff trained, customers contacted, foundation laid for transformation, ready to build something better. The work of justice has begun. Dawn breaks over Westchester Executive Terminal as Sofia Martinez implements the most comprehensive workplace transformation in the facility's history. Her first full day as manager begins before sunrise as she reviews applications for emergency hiring to replace the culture Bradley Thornton built. Marcus Rivera's HR department worked through the night to identify candidates for key positions. Not just people with transportation experience, but individuals with demonstrated commitment to equality and service excellence. Sofia's phone rings at 6 a.m. It's Dr. Angela Robinson, Director of Human Resources for Rivera Technologies, Ms. Martinez. Dr. Robinson begins, "We've identified candidates for your assistant manager and training director positions. Both have extensive experience in diversity and inclusion work. Sofia appreciates the efficiency. Send me their files. I want to interview them today." "They're actually in the building now," Dr. Robinson says. "I flew them in overnight from our Chicago and Denver offices. They're preparing the new staff training curriculum in Conference Room B." The speed of support amazes Sofia. Most companies take weeks to coordinate basic changes. Marcus's organization operates at a pace that matches the urgency of the problems they're solving. Sofia walks to Conference Room B and finds 2 people setting up presentation materials. James Wilson, an African-American man in his 40s, formerly ran diversity training for a major airline. Linda Reyes, a Hispanic woman in her 30s, specialized in customer service excellence at luxury hotels. Ms. Martinez James greets her warmly. "We've been briefing ourselves on last night's incident and developing immediate intervention strategies." Linda adds, "We've created a 72-hour transformation plan, new policies, emergency training, customer outreach, community engagement. It's aggressive but necessary." Sofia reviews their proposal. The plan addresses every aspect of facility operations, from greeting procedures to conflict resolution, from hiring practices to performance evaluation. "How quickly can we implement this?" Sofia asks. James checks his schedule. "Full staff training begins this afternoon. New policies go into effect immediately. Customer service protocols roll out Monday." The morning shift arrives at 7 a.m. to find the terminal transformed. New signs posted throughout the facility announce the policy changes. Training materials wait at every workstation. A diversity and inclusion hotline number is prominently displayed. Most significantly, the staff composition has changed. Marcus's security team identified 3 employees who participated in discriminating against customers beyond Bradley. They received termination notices at the start of their shifts. But the changes aren't just punitive. Sofia announces 5 immediate promotions for staff members who demonstrated character during their tenure. Workers who treated all customers with respect, who quietly helped colleagues improve their service, who maintained dignity even when management discouraged it. Maria Santos, the cleaning supervisor who questioned yesterday's discrimination policies, becomes facilities operations manager. Her 8 years of observing how the terminal really functions makes her invaluable for implementing lasting change. Carlos Mendez, a security guard who consistently treated all passengers with courtesy despite Bradley's encouragement to profile certain demographics, becomes head of security services. These promotions send a clear message: the qualities that got you fired under Bradley's management are the qualities that get you promoted under Sofia's leadership. By noon, local news crews arrive to document the transformation. Sofia grants carefully selected interviews focusing on forward-looking changes rather than past grievances. This isn't about punishing past behavior, Sophia tells Channel 7 News. This is about building future excellence. We're proving that dignity and efficiency aren't competing priorities. The reporter asks about Marcus Rivera's role in the changes. Mr. Rivera provided the opportunity and resources, Sophia responds. But the daily work of transformation belongs to all of us. Every employee, every customer, every person who walks through these doors has a role in maintaining our new standards. Meanwhile, Bradley Thornton spends his first day of unemployment at the Westchester County Library, researching job opportunities and reading about diversity training programs. The reality of his situation has settled, and his reputation in the luxury service industry is destroyed. But Marcus Rivera's offer of potential redemption motivates Bradley to begin genuine change work. He enrolls in online courses about unconscious bias. He volunteers at a local food bank where his privilege and prejudice are challenged daily by the diverse community he serves. The transformation isn't easy. Decades of thinking and stereotypes don't disappear overnight. But Bradley discovers that meaningful work helping people regardless of their background provides satisfaction his old job never offered. James Patterson faces his own reckoning. Whitmore Financial Holdings terminates his employment by noon, citing conduct incompatible with company values. The $40 million in lost accounts creates liability beyond his personal consequences. But like Bradley, James confronts the opportunity for redemption. He contacts the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, offering to provide insider information about discriminatory lending practices he witnessed during his career. The road to rebuilding credibility will be long and difficult, but the possibility exists for those willing to do authentic work rather than perform superficial gestures. David Park takes a different approach to accountability. As a tech entrepreneur with platform and resources, he launches the Speak Up Initiative, a nonprofit organization that provides legal support and advocacy for discrimination victims. His first action, creating a fund to cover travel expenses for customers who were mistreated at Westchester Terminal to return and experience the transformed facility. By evening, Sophia completes her first full day as terminal manager. Customer satisfaction surveys show immediate improvement. Staff report feeling empowered rather than intimidated. The facility operates more efficiently when energy isn't wasted on discrimination. Marcus Rivera calls during Sophia's dinner break. Ms. Martinez, how was day one? Marcus asks. Challenging but encouraging, Sophia reports. We've implemented all immediate changes. Staff training is underway. Customer feedback is positive. Excellent. I have updates from the federal level. The Department of Transportation wants to use our facility as a pilot program for bias monitoring technology. Sophia feels the weight of responsibility. Thousands of other facilities will watch their success or failure. We'll be ready. Mr. Rivera. But I want to ask you something. Go ahead. Why did you choose me for this position? I'm a waitress with a high school education. There must be hundreds of people more qualified. Marcus pauses thoughtfully. Ms. Martinez, you have something most MBAs don't learn in business school. You have character. You stood up when standing up cost you your job. That's the qualification that matters most. The call ends with scheduling for Marcus's return visit next week to review progress and plan expansion of the program to other facilities. Sophia returns to her apartment that night, her first night ever going home as a facility manager instead of a service worker. The salary increase means she can quit her second job, focus entirely on transformation work, maybe even consider returning to school. But more than financial security, she has something she's never experienced, the power to make workplace better for others. The authority to ensure no one experiences what she watched happen too many times. She falls asleep planning tomorrow's initiatives, community outreach meetings, advanced training modules, customer service innovations. The work of justice continues. To people he would have judged harshly, to people he would have judged harshly just 24 hours ago. But beneath the humiliation, something else grows understanding. For the first time in his adult life, Bradley begins to see people as individuals rather than stereotypes. The road to redemption will be long, but it begins with a single step toward serving others instead of judging them. Change is possible for everyone willing to do the work. 6 months after the night that destroyed his career, Bradley Thornton stands in the break room of Riverside Community Food Bank wearing a volunteer apron and hairnet, preparing to serve lunch to 200 people. The transformation from terminal manager to food service volunteer represents more than career change. It represents the beginning of understanding. The work is humbling. Bradley sorts donated vegetables, wipes down tables, sweeps floors. Tasks he once considered beneath him now comprise his daily reality. But somewhere in the repetitive labor, he discovers something he never experienced during 15 years of managing a luxury terminal purpose. Maria Gonzalez, the food bank director, supervises Bradley's training with patient firmness. She's watched dozens of court-ordered volunteers serve their time reluctantly. But Bradley is different. He chose to be here. Mr. Thornton, Maria says, as Bradley stocks the serving line with fresh bread. Tell me why you're volunteering here. Bradley pauses, considering his words carefully. 6 months ago, he would have had a quick surface-level answer designed to make himself look good. Now he understands the importance of honesty. Because I need to learn how to see people, Bradley admits. I spent my career judging people by their appearance. I need to practice treating everyone with dignity. Maria nods approvingly. That's why you're here week after week while others come once and disappear. The lunch service begins at 11 a.m. Bradley takes his position behind the serving counter, ladling soup into bowls for an endless stream of faces. Young mothers with children, elderly veterans, construction workers between jobs, college students stretching their budgets. Each person represents someone he would have judged harshly 6 months ago. Now he looks for their humanity instead of their differences. Mr. Bradley, a familiar voice calls out. Bradley looks up to see Marcus Thompson, a regular who's been coming to the food bank for 3 months. Marcus is African American, roughly the same age as Marcus Rivera, but completely different circumstances. Unemployment, medical bills, family responsibilities that exceed his resources. Good morning, Marcus, Bradley greets him warmly. How are your job interviews going? Got a call back for the warehouse position, Marcus replies with cautious optimism. Fingers crossed. I'll be rooting for you, Bradley says, adding extra vegetables to Marcus's plate. The interaction is simple, human, genuine. 6 months ago, Bradley would have seen Marcus Thompson as someone to be suspicious of, to keep at distance. Now he sees him as someone to encourage, to support, to treat with respect. During his break, Bradley sits outside the food bank and checks his phone. The news about Westchester Executive Terminal continues to evolve. Under Sofia Martinez's leadership, the facility has become a model for transformation. Customer satisfaction scores reached record highs. Discrimination complaints dropped to 0. The facility earned federal recognition for excellence in inclusive service. Other airports send managers to study their policies. Bradley feels proud of Sofia's success, though he played no role in it. Her promotion from fired waitress to celebrated manager represents the justice he never provided during his tenure. His phone buzzes with a news alert about Marcus Rivera's latest initiative. Rivera Technologies just announced a $50 million fund to support bias monitoring technology at transportation facilities nationwide. The man Bradley humiliated 6 months ago is using his experience to protect countless others from similar treatment. The contrast between revenge and transformation strikes Bradley powerfully. After his volunteer shift, Bradley stops at Westchester Community College. He's been taking evening courses in diversity and inclusion, working toward a certificate in nonprofit management. The decision surprised everyone who knew him, including himself. His instructor, Professor Janet Williams, an African-American woman with a Ph.D. in sociology, challenges her students to confront their own biases weekly. Initially, Bradley resented the discomfort. Now he understands its necessity. Mr. Thornton, Professor Williams says as class ends, "Your reflection paper on unconscious bias showed genuine insight. Have you considered presenting your experience to other professionals?" Bradley hesitates. Sharing his story means admitting his failures publicly repeatedly. "I'm not sure anyone wants to hear from someone who got fired for discrimination," Bradley replies. Professor Williams shakes her head. "People need to hear from someone who changed. Your story isn't about the mistake, it's about the possibility of growth." That evening, Bradley writes an email he's been drafting mentally for weeks. He addresses it to Sophia Martinez. Ms. Martinez, you probably don't want to hear from me, but I wanted you to know that I've been volunteering at Riverside Community Food Bank for 6 months. I'm also taking college courses in diversity and inclusion. I can't undo the harm I caused during my years as manager. I can't erase the pain I inflicted on you and other employees, but I'm trying to learn from my mistakes instead of repeating them. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect a response. I just wanted you to know that the consequences you and Mr. Rivera imposed are creating the change you intended. Thank you for standing up when standing up cost you your job. I should have been the one protecting employees like you, not punishing them. Respectfully, Bradley Thornton. He hesitates before sending it. Reaching out risks rejection, judgment, renewed humiliation. But avoiding difficult conversations is how he ended up discriminating in the first place. Bradley sends the email and goes to bed wondering if redemption is possible for someone who spent decades building walls between himself and other people's humanity. The next morning brings an unexpected response, Mr. Thornton. "Mr. Rivera forwarded your email to me. He thought I should know about your volunteer work and education. I appreciate your honesty about the harm you caused. Acknowledgement is the first step toward accountability. If your transformation is genuine, there may be an opportunity to help other managers avoid your mistakes. People learn better from someone who failed than from someone who never faced temptation. We'll be in touch. S. Martinez, Terminal Manager, Westchester Executive Terminal." Bradley reads the response 3 times. Not forgiveness, he hasn't earned that yet, but possibility, hope, the chance to transform his failures into tools for preventing other people's harm. For the first time since the night Marcus Rivera exposed his prejudice, Bradley feels something other than shame about his future. He calls the food bank to volunteer additional hours. He enrolls in advanced courses at the community college. He begins writing a longer reflection about his experience, thinking it might help other managers recognize their own biases before they cause harm. The road to redemption is long and uncertain. But Bradley finally understands that the journey itself, the work of becoming better, matters more than reaching any particular destination. 6 months ago, Bradley Thornton was fired for discriminating against Marcus Rivera. Today, he's learning to serve people he once judged. The man who lost everything because he couldn't see Marcus Rivera's humanity is slowly discovering his own. Change is possible, but only for those willing to do the work. 1 year after the incident that transformed American transportation standards, Sophia Martinez walks through Westchester Executive Terminal, reviewing the afternoon shift change. The facility buzzes with professional efficiency, but the atmosphere feels fundamentally different from the place where she once served coffee to indifferent passengers. Every staff member wears a small pin with the facility's new motto, "Dignity first, service always." The phrase isn't just decoration. It represents a comprehensive cultural transformation that other airports worldwide now study and replicate. Sophia stops at the reception desk where Carlos Mendez, the former security guard now serving as operations director, coordinates with customer service representatives. The team handles a minor issue with a delayed flight, ensuring affected passengers receive accommodation and apologies rather than dismissive brush-offs. Ms. Rodriguez Sophia addresses one of the customer service representatives. How are the new trainees adapting to the dignity protocols? Very well. Ms. Martinez Rodriguez replies. The scenario-based training helps them recognize bias before it affects customer interactions. Good. Schedule them for advanced empathy training next week. The transformation extends beyond individual interactions to comprehensive policy changes. Sophia reviews the latest customer satisfaction survey results on her tablet, 96% approval rating up from 64% under Bradley's management. But numbers only tell part of the story. The real change appears in daily interactions between staff and passengers, in the absence of discrimination complaints, in the way people feel welcomed rather than judged. Marcus Rivera's monitoring technology, now installed in 47 facilities across 3 states, tracks bias indicators in real time. Voice pattern analysis, service time disparities, complaint frequency, all analyzed by artificial intelligence trained to recognize discrimination patterns. The technology doesn't replace human judgment, but supports it. When bias indicators spike, supervisors receive alerts allowing immediate intervention before discrimination becomes harassment. Sophia's phone rings with a call from the Federal Aviation Administration. Director Sarah Kim requests updates on the bias monitoring pilot program. Ms. Martinez, Director Kim begins the preliminary data from your facility, and others using Mr. Rivera's technology shows remarkable improvement in service equity. Congress is considering legislation requiring bias monitoring at all federally funded transportation facilities. Sophia appreciates the recognition but focuses on implementation challenges. Director Kim, the technology helps identify problems, but culture change requires consistent reinforcement. Training can't be one-time events. It needs to be ongoing. Agreed. What recommendations do you have for national rollout? Sophia opens her presentation file developed over months of experience transforming workplace culture. Make diversity training mandatory for all management positions. Create anonymous reporting procedures with external oversight. Most importantly, promote people who demonstrate character rather than just competence. The conversation continues for 30 minutes, covering policy details that will affect millions of travelers. Sophia provides insights based on real experience managing change rather than theoretical frameworks. After the call, Sophia reviews applications for the facility's newest program, the Dignity Ambassador Initiative. High-performing employees can apply for additional training to become bias prevention specialists, earning salary increases while helping maintain inclusive culture. The program addresses a key challenge sustaining change beyond initial enthusiasm. By creating career advancement opportunities tied to inclusion work, Sophia ensures that fighting bias becomes professionally rewarding rather than just morally required. Maria Santos, the former cleaning supervisor now serving as facilities operations manager, approaches with updates about community partnerships. Ms. Martinez, the local NAACP chapter, wants to schedule their quarterly facility review next week. They're particularly interested in our hiring practices for entry-level positions. Perfect, Sophia replies. Transparency builds trust. The NAACP partnership represents another innovation from Marcus Rivera's transformation framework. External oversight prevents complacency and provides ongoing accountability for inclusion commitments. Additionally, Maria continues, Bradley Thornton submitted his application for the bias prevention educator position. Sophia pauses. For 6 months, Bradley has been volunteering at local nonprofits while completing diversity education courses. His transformation appears genuine, but hiring your predecessor who was fired for discrimination requires careful consideration. Has he completed all certification requirements? Sophia asks. Yes. Professor Williams at Westchester Community College submitted his final evaluation. She recommends him for positions involving bias prevention education. Sophia reviews Bradley's file. His academic work shows deep understanding of discrimination psychology. His volunteer work demonstrates sustained commitment to serving diverse communities. His personal statement acknowledges harm while outlining specific plans for prevention education. Most importantly, his application includes endorsements from community leaders, fellow volunteers, and Professor Williams, all attesting to genuine transformation rather than superficial compliance. Schedule him for panel interviews next week, Sophia decides. Include community representatives, not just facility staff. The decision reflects Sophia's leadership philosophy. Redemption must be earned through sustained action, not granted through symbolic gestures. Her computer chimes with a video call from Marcus Rivera, now calling from his corporate headquarters in Manhattan. Miss Martinez. Marcus greets her warmly. Congratulations on the FAA recognition. Your facility has become the national model for inclusive transportation service. Thank you, Mr. Rivera. But the real test is sustainability. Culture change requires constant attention. Agreed. That's why I'm calling. Rivera Technologies is establishing the Institute for Transportation Equity headquartered at your facility. I want you to direct it. Sophia feels simultaneously honored and overwhelmed. Sir, I'm grateful for the opportunity, but I'm not sure I'm qualified to run a national institute. Marcus smiles. Ms. Martinez, you transformed a discrimination-plagued facility into an inclusion model while maintaining operational excellence. You're exactly who should lead this work. The Institute will train transportation managers nationwide, develop bias prevention curricula, and provide ongoing support for facilities implementing inclusion programs. Sophia's experience-based expertise will guide the expansion of dignity-first service standards across American transportation infrastructure. I accept, Sophia says, understanding the magnitude of responsibility she's assuming. Excellent. Dr. Robinson from our HR department will coordinate with you on staffing and program development. After the call, Sophia walks through the terminal lobby, observing afternoon passenger interactions. Business travelers, families, elderly passengers, people from every economic background, all treated with consistent respect and professionalism. Near the windows where Marcus Rivera was humiliated 1 year ago, a young African-American man in casual clothes approaches the reception desk. The staff member greets him warmly, processes his request efficiently, and provides assistance without judgment or suspicion. The scene that would have triggered discrimination under Bradley's management now unfolds as routine, excellent service. The transformation is complete, visible, sustainable. Sophia returns to her office and begins planning curriculum for the new institute. Training modules on unconscious bias, conflict de-escalation, cultural competency, empathy development. But most importantly, case studies showing that inclusive service improves rather than compromises operational efficiency. Her phone buzzes with a message from Professor Williams. Sophia just heard about the institute appointment. Proud to see student leadership in action. The world needs more leaders who understand that justice and excellence aren't competing priorities. As evening approaches, Sophia reviews the day's incident reports: 0 discrimination complaints, 14 customer commendations, 3 bias alerts, resolved through supervisor intervention before escalation. The numbers represent more than operational metrics. They represent human dignity, protected potential harm, prevented culture change sustained through daily commitment. 1 year ago, Sophia Martinez was fired for defending a customer against discrimination. Today, she leads national efforts to ensure no one faces what Marcus Rivera experienced. The transformation is complete, but the work continues. Justice isn't a destination, it's a direction. And under Sophia's leadership, American transportation moves steadily toward dignity for all. 18 months after the incident that changed everything, Marcus Rivera returns to Westchester Executive Terminal for the quarterly review of his bias monitoring program. But this visit is different. He's not traveling alone. His 12-year-old nephew, Jordan Rivera, accompanies him for the first time. Jordan wears casual clothes, jeans, sneakers, a university hoodie, and carries a backpack full of homework and gadgets. He looks remarkably similar to how Marcus appeared the night his dignity was challenged in this very building. They walk through the terminal entrance together. Marcus watches Jordan's face, carefully studying his reaction to the space where his uncle was humiliated 18 months ago. Uncle Marcus Jordan says, looking around the polished lobby, "This place is really nice. Everyone seems friendly." Marcus smiles. It wasn't always like this. They approach the reception desk where Sofia Martinez greets them personally. She's dressed professionally but still wears the small Dignity First pin that has become the facility's symbol. "Mr. Rivera, welcome back," Sofia says warmly. "And you must be Jordan." Jordan shakes her hand politely. "Nice to meet you, Ms. Martinez." Sofia leads them to the VIP lounge for their meeting, but Marcus pauses at the spot where Bradley Thornton once forced him to stand while confiscating his credit card. Jordan Marcus says quietly, 18 months ago, "I stood right here while a man told me I didn't belong in this building." Jordan looks around, confused. "But why? You own planes and companies and stuff." "Because he judged me by my appearance instead of my character," Marcus explains. "He saw a tired man in old clothes and decided I was a problem to be removed." "That's stupid," Jordan says with the clarity of youth. "Yes," Marcus agrees. "It was stupid. But more than that, it was wrong." Sofia watches the conversation with interest. She's never seen Marcus in uncle mode, patient, educational, focused on teaching rather than achieving. Sofia interjects gently. "Your uncle's experience here led to changes that protect thousands of other travelers from similar treatment." How, Jordan asks. Marcus explains the monitoring technology. The policy changes the training programs that emerged from his humiliation. Jordan listens with growing understanding. "So something good came from something bad," Jordan summarizes. "Something better came from addressing something bad," Marcus corrects. "The good was always possible. It just required people choosing to do the right thing." They settle in the lounge for the quarterly review meeting. Sofia presents impressive statistics. Customer satisfaction at record highs. Discrimination complaints at 0 for 6 consecutive months. Staff retention improved by 40%. But Marcus focuses on qualitative changes. How do people feel when they enter this facility? Do they sense welcome or judgment? Does service quality vary based on passenger appearance? The data shows consistent service excellence regardless of customer demographics, Sofia reports. Our bias monitoring technology catches potential issues before they become incidents. More importantly, staff report feeling empowered rather than fearful. When employees know they'll be supported for treating everyone with dignity, they provide better service to everyone. Marcus nods approvingly. The transformation succeeded because it aligned moral imperatives with operational excellence. Mr. Rivera, Sofia continues. "We have one more item to discuss. Bradley Thornton completed his certification program and community service requirements." Marcus looks up from his notes. "And we'd like to offer him a position as bias prevention educator, not in customer-facing roles, but training other managers about recognizing and preventing discrimination." The request surprises Marcus, though he understands the logic. Who better to teach about the consequences of bias than someone who experienced those consequences personally? Has his transformation been verified by independent sources? Marcus asks. Professor Williams, the NAACP, chapter president, and 3 nonprofit directors all confirm sustained behavior change over 12 months. This isn't performative compliance, it's genuine growth. Marcus considers the decision carefully. Redemption requires both personal change and community acceptance. If Bradley has earned community trust through consistent action, maybe he's earned the opportunity to help prevent others from making his mistakes. Schedule a meeting. Marcus decides. "I want to assess his understanding personally." An hour later, Bradley Thornton enters the lounge. He looks different, humbler, more thoughtful, less concerned with projecting authority. His handshake is firm, but not aggressive. Mr. Rivera Bradley begins, "I want to thank you for considering this opportunity, Mr. Thornton." Marcus replies, "I'm not interested in gratitude. I'm interested in competence. Can you teach other managers to recognize the thinking that led to your mistakes?" Bradley nods seriously. "I understand the psychology of prejudice because I lived it. I know how good people convince themselves that discrimination is justified. I can help them recognize those rationalizations before they cause harm." The conversation continues for 30 minutes. Bradley demonstrates clear understanding of bias psychology, cultural competency principles, and institutional change strategies. More importantly, he shows genuine humility about his failures and realistic optimism about preventing similar harm. Marcus makes his decision. "You can start next month, but understand this position comes with zero tolerance for backsliding. Any indication of discriminatory behavior results in immediate termination." "Understood completely," Bradley replies. "I won't waste this second chance." After Bradley leaves, Marcus and Jordan prepare for their departure. As they walk toward the exit, Jordan asks the question Marcus has been waiting for. "Uncle Marcus, would you forgive someone who treated you badly if they really changed?" Marcus pauses, choosing his words carefully. Jordan, forgiveness isn't about excusing bad behavior. It's about creating space for people to become better. "Is Mr. Thornton better now?" Jordan asks. "Time will tell," Marcus replies, "but he's earned the opportunity to prove it." They board Marcus's aircraft for the flight home. As the Gulfstream taxis away from the terminal, Marcus looks back at the building where his dignity was challenged 18 months ago. The structure looks the same, but everything inside has changed. Policies, culture, staff, leadership, all transformed through the application of power aligned with justice. More importantly, the changes have spread. 47 facilities now use his monitoring technology. Federal legislation requires bias training at all transportation hubs. The Institute for Transportation Equity, directed by Sofia Martinez, trains managers nationwide. One moment of standing up to injustice created ripple effects that will protect countless future travelers from experiencing what Marcus endured. Jordan falls asleep during the flight homework scattered across his seat. Marcus covers him with a blanket and returns to his own work, expanding bias prevention programs to international airports. The work of justice never ends, but it builds momentum with each victory. Each life changed, each culture reformed. 18 months ago, Marcus Rivera was told he didn't belong at Westchester Executive Terminal. Today, that terminal serves as a model for how everyone belongs when dignity guides service. The circle is complete, but the spiral continues upward. 2 years after Marcus Rivera's discrimination incident transformed one terminal, the ripple effects have reshaped American transportation infrastructure. His bias monitoring technology now operates in over 200 facilities across 36 states, creating the largest discrimination prevention network in transportation history. The technology proved that equality and efficiency aren't competing priorities, they're complementary forces. Facilities using Rivera's monitoring procedures report average customer satisfaction increases of 28% alongside discrimination complaint reductions of 94%. Dr. Angela Robinson, now director of the Institute for Transportation Equity, presents quarterly data to the Federal Aviation Administration's Civil Rights Division. The conference room in Washington, D.C., fills with transportation officials, civil rights leaders, and policymakers, reviewing unprecedented progress in bias prevention. Secretary Williams, Dr. Robinson, addresses the Transportation Secretary. The data demonstrates that inclusive service isn't just morally required, it's economically superior. The presentation charts show clear correlations between bias reduction and revenue growth. Facilities that eliminated discrimination experienced increased customer loyalty, positive word-of-mouth marketing, and premium pricing power. More importantly, staff retention improved dramatically when employees felt empowered to treat all customers with dignity. Training costs decreased, turnover expenses dropped, and service quality rose. Secretary Williams reviews the comprehensive data. Dr. Robinson. These results support federal legislation requiring bias monitoring at all transportation facilities receiving federal funding. The proposed legislation, drafted with input from Sophia Martinez and other transformation leaders, mandates real-time discrimination monitoring, transparent reporting, and financial penalties for institutions that tolerate bias. But the impact extends beyond government policy. Private companies voluntarily adopt Rivera's standards to avoid the reputation damage that destroyed Bradley Thornton's career. Discrimination becomes not just morally wrong, but professionally suicidal. Major hotel chains implement similar monitoring. Rental car companies adopt dignity-first training. Cruise lines, airlines, and luxury service providers across industries recognize that inclusive excellence represents competitive advantage rather than compliance burden. The transformation cascades through corporate America as executives realize that protecting customer dignity protects profit margins. Marcus Rivera receives dozens of speaking requests weekly, but he carefully chooses appearances that advance policy rather than celebrity. His focus remains on creating accountability rather than personal recognition. At the National Association of Black Hotel Owners Conference in Atlanta, Marcus delivers the keynote address to an audience of entrepreneurs who built businesses despite facing discrimination throughout their careers. 2 years ago, I was humiliated at a terminal because someone judged me by my appearance, Marcus tells the audience. Today, that same terminal trains managers nationwide on preventing such incidents. The audience responds with appreciation, but Marcus emphasizes the broader lesson. My experience wasn't unique, he continues. What was unique was having the resources to fight back. Our responsibility is using our success to protect people who don't have private aircraft to make their points. The speech generates significant media coverage, but more importantly, it inspires other successful entrepreneurs to invest in bias prevention rather than just personal advancement. Within 6 months, 12 major minority-owned businesses established the Dignity Defense Fund, providing legal support and financial assistance to discrimination victims who lack resources for lengthy court battles. The fund's first case involves a young Hispanic woman denied rental car service at Miami International Airport. Video evidence bias monitoring data and legal support combine to create swift justice rather than years of litigation. The message spreads through industries discrimination will be expensive, public, and career-ending for perpetrators while being supported, documented, and legally protected for victims. Congressional hearings feature Sophia Martinez testifying about transformation strategies that work. Her practical experience managing cultural change provides credibility that academic theories cannot match. Representative Johnson asks Sophia directly, Ms. Martinez, what advice would you give to other managers facing embedded discrimination in their organizations? Change starts with individual accountability. Sophia responds, You can't transform culture without addressing individual behavior first. She outlines the specific steps that worked at Westchester Terminal, immediate consequences for discrimination. Career advancement for inclusion, champions, external oversight partnerships, continuous training rather than one-time events. But most importantly, Sophia adds, leadership must model the behavior they expect. You can't delegate integrity. The hearing testimony becomes required reading at business schools nationwide. Case studies emerge analyzing the Westchester Terminal transformation as a model for organizational change management. Marcus Rivera's experience evolves from viral video to academic curriculum, from social media moment to institutional knowledge that will guide managers for decades. The ultimate measure of success isn't just policy change or technological innovation, it's culture shift. 2 years after one man faced discrimination, millions of travelers experience improved service because bias became too costly to tolerate. The industry that once protected discrimination now prevents it comprehensively, sustainably, profitably. The individuals whose lives intersected on that transformative night have each found their own paths toward growth, redemption, and purpose. Their stories illuminate how crisis can become catalyst when people choose courage over comfort. Sofia Martinez stands before 300 transportation managers at the annual Dignity in Service conference, sharing lessons learned from transforming workplace culture. Her journey from fired waitress to industry leader resonates with audiences struggling to implement change in their own organizations. The secret isn't complex policy manuals, Sofia tells the audience. It's creating environments where doing the right thing gets rewarded and doing the wrong thing gets consequences. After her presentation, a young airport manager approaches with familiar desperation. Ms. Martinez, I'm dealing with staff who discriminate against passengers, but they're protected by union contracts and management indifference. How do I create change without authority? Sofia recognizes the frustration she faced similar challenges before gaining management authority. Document everything she advises. Build alliances with staff who share your values. Focus on one improvement at a time rather than trying to fix everything immediately. Most importantly, Sofia adds, remember that you have the authority to treat people with dignity regardless of what others do. Sometimes leading by example creates the momentum for broader change. Sofia's mentorship extends beyond formal presentations. She personally responds to emails from managers seeking guidance, participates in online forums discussing bias prevention, and maintains relationships with community organizations that provide oversight for transformation efforts. Bradley Thornton completes his first year as a bias prevention educator, training managers across the Rivera Technologies network. His presentation style is humble, but informed. He shares his failures honestly while teaching specific strategies for avoiding similar mistakes. At a training session in Chicago, Bradley addresses a group of airport supervisors resistant to new inclusion policies. I understand your frustration, Bradley begins. I spent 15 years thinking bias training was politically correct nonsense that interfered with efficiency. The audience shifts uncomfortably, recognizing their own attitudes reflected in his words. I was wrong, Bradley continues. Discrimination doesn't improve security or efficiency. It creates problems that efficient service prevents. Bradley's credibility comes from admitting rather than minimizing his failures. Managers learn more from someone who overcame bias than from someone who never faced temptation. His quarterly performance reviews show impressive results. Managers trained by Bradley demonstrate measurably better bias recognition skills compared to those trained through traditional methods. But Bradley's transformation extends beyond professional development. He continues volunteering at Riverside Community Food Bank while completing a master's degree in nonprofit management. His personal growth supports rather than substitutes for his professional contributions. Emma Rodriguez parlayed her viral documentation into a career as an investigative journalist specializing in discrimination stories. Her initial live stream evolved into a nonprofit organization, providing platform and legal support for bias victims. The Citizens Accountability Network, founded by Emma and Ashley Thompson, combines social media documentation with legal advocacy to ensure discrimination, incidents receive appropriate attention and resolution. Their work prevents stories from disappearing into news cycles by maintaining pressure for institutional change rather than temporary outrage. David Park's Speak Up initiative funds legal support for discrimination victims while providing bias prevention training for tech industry leaders. His initial silence during Marcus's humiliation motivated sustained action to prevent future complicity. The initiative's latest project involves developing bias detection software for service industries beyond transportation. Hotels, restaurants, retail establishments, and other customer-facing businesses can now access technology that identifies discriminatory patterns before they become legal liabilities. James Patterson took a different path toward redemption. After losing his banking career, he enrolled in social work school and now counsels individuals rebuilding their lives after experiencing discrimination. His clients include both victims seeking healing and perpetrators seeking genuine change. James's experience on both sides of bias provides unique perspective for people navigating the complex emotions around discrimination. Professor Janet Williams tracks these transformation stories as part of her research on accountability and behavior change. Her longitudinal study follows individuals involved in high-profile bias incidents to understand factors that promote genuine growth versus superficial compliance. The preliminary findings suggest that public accountability, combined with genuine opportunity for redemption, creates more sustainable change than punishment alone. These personal transformation stories demonstrate that crisis can catalyze growth when people choose learning over defensiveness, action over apathy, service over selfishness. The night that destroyed careers also created opportunities for people to become their better selves. Marcus Rivera sits in his corporate office overlooking Manhattan, reviewing impact reports from the Institute for Transportation Equity. 2 years of work has produced measurable progress. Discrimination complaints down 87% across monitored facilities, customer satisfaction at record levels, staff retention significantly improved. But Marcus focuses on the individual stories rather than aggregate statistics. Letters from travelers who experienced respectful service where they previously faced discrimination. Reports from managers who prevented bias incidents using skills learned through Sophia's training programs. Messages from community members who feel welcomed in facilities that once excluded them. Isabella Guerrero enters with the latest correspondence. Sir, you have interview requests from 60 Minutes, The Washington Post, and CNN about the anniversary of the incident. Marcus declines as he has consistently for 2 years. The story belongs to the people living the daily work of transformation, not the person who happened to have resources when discrimination occurred. Instead, Marcus records a video message for the Institute's social media channels, speaking directly to viewers who might face similar challenges. 2 years ago, I experienced discrimination that happens to millions of Americans regularly. Marcus begins. The difference wasn't the incident. The difference was having power to respond. He speaks from his office, but the message transcends corporate success. Real change doesn't come from viral videos or social media outrage. Real change comes from daily choices by individual people who decide that dignity matters more than convenience. Marcus outlines specific actions viewers can take supporting businesses that demonstrate inclusive practices, speaking up when they witness discrimination, using their own platforms and resources to amplify voices calling for justice. But most importantly, Marcus emphasizes, examine your own biases, question your own assumptions, choose to see people's humanity before judging their appearance. The video concludes with Marcus addressing viewers directly. If you've experienced discrimination, know that your story matters and your dignity has value regardless of whether you own a private jet. If you've witnessed discrimination, know that your voice can make the difference between justice and continuing harm. Marcus pauses, looking directly into the camera. Power isn't about what you own, it's about what you do with what you have. Use your power, whatever level it is, to protect dignity rather than perpetuate prejudice. The video receives over 2 million views within 24 hours, generating thousands of comments from people sharing their own experiences and commitments to action. But Marcus measures success differently. 3 days after the video posts, Sophia Martinez calls with updates from facilities across the country. Mr. Rivera, she reports. We're seeing increased employee reporting of bias incidents. more customer feedback about positive service experiences, and growing requests for training from facilities not currently in our network. That afternoon, Marcus approves funding for expansion to international airports. The work that began with one man's humiliation in a New York terminal now protects travelers globally. Justice, Marcus has learned, isn't a destination, but a direction. Each step forward creates momentum for the next advance. The man who was told he didn't belong in a terminal now ensures that everyone belongs wherever dignity should reside. The story ends, but the work continues. And in that continuation lies hope for a world where respect is standard rather than exceptional, where power serves justice rather than perpetuating prejudice. Because when we choose to build rather than break, to include rather than exclude, to lift rather than diminish, we discover that transformation is always possible. One choice at a time. One person at a time. One moment at a time. The circle of justice expands with each individual who decides that everyone deserves dignity regardless of their appearance, their accent, or their access to private aircraft. If this story moved you, here's how you can be part of the change. Hit that like button to help this message reach more people who need to hear it. Subscribe to this channel because we share stories of real people creating real change in the world. And most importantly, share this video with someone who might need to see what courage looks like when it stands up to injustice. Because justice doesn't start with billionaires and private jets. It starts with ordinary people deciding that dignity matters more than comfort. That speaking up matters more than staying quiet, that doing what's right matters more than doing what's easy. Your voice has power. Your choices create change. Your courage can write the next chapter in someone else's story of justice. Thanks for watching. And remember, the person you stand up for today might just be the person who changes the world tomorrow. The story continues with you.